Good morning, and welcome to the final day of the Texas Democratic Party convention. I'm Manny Garcia, the Executive Director of the Texas Democratic Party, and I'm joined by my colleague, Cliff Walker, our Deputy Executive Director. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for taking the time out of your weekend to engage with your party, especially in these troubled times. We deeply appreciate your interest, your advocacy, your fight for our movement. There is lots to cover today, so let's get to work. Cliff, fill us in. What can we expect to see today?
Well, a bunch, but before we dive into the day, we should celebrate that we have made a lot of history this week, and we're continuing to make some history. So now, yesterday we talked about how you helped us break nearly every fundraising record in Texas Democratic history, but I want to just take a second to say, what is this money for? It supports a movement that's relentlessly focused on doing everything that we must do to win. According to our theory of change, that means registering more Democratic voters. And those voters tend to be overwhelmingly younger, more progressive, and more diverse. But this morning, we just wrapped up, literally minutes ago, the largest volunteer deputy registrar training in Texas history, with over 3,400 individuals just being trained to register the voters that we need to win.
Amazing.
Looking forward, today we finished the official business of the party, which started several months ago with the county and the state Senate district conventions, thousands of Democrats filing for local and state and national party offices, countless emails, and of course the one long continuous Zoom call that is our life at the moment. But today, with the participation of thousands of delegates across the state, we're going to wrap up the process of producing a boldly progressive platform, passing resolutions, reviewing the Texas Democratic Party rules, and electing those party leaders. We'll also hear from leaders in our party, key allies and partners in this movement, and of course, the next president of the United States, Vice President Joe Biden. Also, don't forget, at 6 o'clock today, you're going to hear from the next United States Senator at the official Democratic Senate debate, which will be broadcast statewide, thanks to our partnership with Nexstar Broadcasting.
Such an exciting day, folks. We're going to get started with a leader in Congress who, to be frank, has just never let us down. Let's welcome Congressman Al Green, who represents the 9th Congressional Districts in parts of the great city of Houston and Fort Bend County.
Texas is the biggest battleground state in the country. Our Democratic Party is building a future that is focused in equality and prosperity.
Our mission is innovative, inclusive, and hopeful. We are creating a Texas that we can all believe and thrive in.
Some of the boldest Democrats to navigate the halls of Congress have called Texas home, and some of them have even made their mark on the White House.
Texas produces progressives, trailblazers, and steady-handed leaders alike who consistently push the needle on issue after issue.
Our leaders champion the noblest of causes because we believe that our country is stronger when we celebrate diversity, live our values, and inspire unity.
Texas Democrats have built a movement founded on landmark policies and programs that make America one of a kind.
We safeguard our planet and fight for equal rights. We deliver on building an economy that works for all Texans. We defend a woman's right to choose, and we challenge the inhumane policies that set to tear our country apart.
While Texas Democrats may differ in their approaches, each one of them has fought like hell to change the course of history and leave our state that much more equitable.
We are the party that paves the way for the future because we cannot advance as a society until everyone has a seat at the table. Donald Trump can't win the White House without Texas, and we've got a plan to defeat him.
We know that the strength and resilience of our movement means that we can overcome any challenge set before us.
We know that we will succeed because what we are fighting for is humane, it is just, and it is truthful.
Every day, little by little, our movement grows and our chants for justice ring louder.
We are shaping the political future of our state and ensuring that everyone has a fair shot at the American dream.
This is what it means to be a Texas Democrat. Because when we save Texas, we save our democracy.
And when we save our country, we save the world. Coming up next, we'll be hearing from U.S. Representative Al Green. Stay tuned.
Hello, Texas Democrats, and a very special hello to Chairman Hinojosa and all of the members of this great party. Texas Democrats, and to all who are listening, it has been written that you will know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Well, the truth is that I am angry today, not the kind of anger that would cause me to throw a brick or burn down a building. It's the kind of anger that would make me want to do something constructive. But I am angry. And I'm angry because Breonna Taylor did not celebrate her 27th birthday yesterday. I'm angry because Ahmaud Arbery did not finish his jog, because George Floyd isn't breathing. I'm also angry because Matthew Shepard was murdered for being gay, because Joe Campos Torres was beaten by police and thrown in a bayou in this state, because Vincent Chin was beaten because he was thought to be Japanese. I am angry today. I'm angry because we haven't reconciled. We ended slavery, but we didn't reconcile. We ended segregation, but we didn't reconcile. I'm angry today because we haven't reconciled for murdering Native Americans. We haven't reconciled for the internment of the Japanese. I'm angry because we have a bigoted president in the White House who has banned Muslims from the country, a bigoted president who has decided that trans persons could be removed from the military because of who they are. I'm angry because this president went so far as to say there were some very fine people among the racists, the xenophobes, the Islamophobes, homophobes in Charlottesville. I'm very angry because this president told law enforcement officers, when you're arresting someone, you don't have to be so nice. I'm angry, and I'm angry because this reconciliation must take place. It has not. And this is why I have introduced in the Congress of the United States of America legislation by way of a resolution currently that would call for a Department of Reconciliation at the highest level of government in the cabinet of the president. I am going to do this because this Department of Reconciliation would give us the opportunity to do what we should have done more than a century ago. We should have reconciled by now, but we haven't. This department would be headed by a secretary who will have the responsibility of developing a strategy and implementing this strategy to end racism and invidious discrimination in all of its various forms. This secretary will have to report to the Congress of the United States of America on a semi-annual basis and give an explanation as to the progress that's being made to end racism and invidious discrimination. So I'm proud to tell you today that although I'm angry, I'm going to use this anger in a very positive and productive way. I'm going to use it to make change in this country. This is a historic piece of legislation. And Democrats, I ask that you would join me and support me in this effort to end invidious discrimination by having a cabinet-level secretary whose job it is to do this every day that he or she is on the job. I will end with this. Although I'm angry, I'm also hopeful. I'm hopeful because I've seen the young people in the streets. I've seen what they have done with peaceful protest. Yes, some people have been arrested, but remember this, Dr. King was the father of peaceful protest in this country, and Dr. King wrote his letter from the Birmingham jail. Dr. King was arrested at the time he wrote the letter from the Birmingham jail. Yes, people go to jail, they do, but we want them to go to jail for things like breaking a curfew, for things like marching on the street as opposed to the sidewalk. We don't want people to do things that are destructive. This is not constructive for the cause that we all want to champion. So I'm hopeful because these young people in throngs across the length and breadth of this nation have come out and made it perspicuously clear that they are demanding change. And we who hold public office have to respond to the demands that they have made. So let us now all resolve that we will honor their requests, that we will do what they demand, that we will make America America for all Americans, that we will make America the beautiful a more beautiful America. And with this, my dear friends, I would have you know I love my country, and I wish you the very best, and may God bless the United States of America.
Congressman Al Green has led with unwavering moral commitment. He spoke up as the lone voice on impeachment. He got this started. He was a beacon of the resistance. And now in these troubled times, he is leading us forward to heal, to deliver real reform and policy solutions. And we're so proud that he was here with us today. Thank you so much, Congressman Green.
Manny, before I announce our next speaker, I have a little news. So we are this close to raising $250,000 during this convention week. Thank you to the over 20,000 donors who have contributed this week. Many of you have gone to 38for38.com. And for those folks who have pitched in to fund our mission to steal 38 electoral votes from Trump and deliver those to Joe Biden. But Manny, making change in 2020, it does take strong partnerships. And we are grateful for the brilliance, the friendship, and the hard work of our partner, Royce Brooks, the executive director of Annie's List, an organization that's laser focused on the crucial goal of electing more progressive women to office.
We'll also hear shortly, we'll take a special moment to recognize the good work and the legacy of Texas Senator Jose Rodriguez. So stay tuned.
Hey y'all, Greg Cuellar here from the Austin City Council. If we've learned anything this year, it's that things have to be different, that things have to change. And we can only make that change in this country if we organize like never before here in Texas. That's what this convention is all about. So to get started, text the word VOTES to 21333, and I'll see you around the convention.
Hi, I'm Representative Donna Howard, and I need your help. We're going to need reinforcements this November to the Big Tent Party so we can ensure healthy families, equal opportunity, and responsible good government for all Texans.
Hey, Texas Democrats, let's flip the House in 2020. Let's flex some muscle, get out the vote, and do what we know we can do. I appreciate y'all very much. 2020 is going to be awesome.
Coming up next, we'll be hearing from Annie's List Executive Director Royce Brooks. Stay tuned.
Hey, y'all. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Royce Brooks. I'm the Executive Director of Annie's List. We're a statewide PAC working to elect pro-choice Democratic women up and down the ballot in Texas, and our main goal this cycle is to flip the Texas House to Democratic control in November, just 150 days from now, a flip that will no doubt be led by Democratic women candidates. Now, we know that Texas is the biggest battleground state, and that this is our moment. It's ripe for the taking. And I'll be honest, I had a different idea of what my remarks for today were going to be. But since the opportunity to speak here today was presented to me, a lot has happened, and I'd be remiss if I didn't use this time to talk about it. So let's talk. This keeps happening. It just happened. It happened already. Before last weekend and George Floyd, before Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor, who should have turned 27 yesterday, There were uprisings in 2016 sparked by grief and rage over the deaths of Philando Castile and Alton Sterling at the hands of the police. In 2014, after police murdered Eric Gardner in New York and Michael Brown in Ferguson, cities were in turmoil, and protesters in the streets were confronted by police in military gear. As a middle schooler, I watched on television as Los Angeles went up in flames after the officers who were caught on video beating Rodney King within an inch of his life were found not guilty. As a child, I grew up hearing the story of the uprisings after the assassination of Dr. King. My aunts in their shared apartment in Washington, D.C., checking for gaps in the seals of the windows, lest tear gas seep inside as their neighborhood convulsed in despair. This is America, where racial violence has always just happened, so one can always go back further. Rosewood, Tulsa, Jamestown. This is America, where Black lives have always mattered less than white comfort. But more than that, this is Texas, home of the largest African American population in the country. This is Texas, home of Tatiana Jefferson, Botham Jean, Sandra Bland, James Byrd, and countless others. Even in the murder of George Floyd, Texas is there. Mr. Floyd grew up in Houston's 3rd Ward. His young daughter, now fatherless, still lives in Houston. This is Texas, and it just happened. It keeps happening, and it will happen again and again until we make a change. We cannot say we did not know. We both knew and should have known the inevitable result of failing to reckon with the white supremacy on which this country was built. But because we already knew this would happen, we also already know everything we need to know to keep it from happening again. We know we need to listen to Black people. And by we, I mean you. When Black people in America share their experiences of racism, oppression, humiliation, you have to believe us. These experiences are nothing new. No Black person you know was surprised by George Floyd's killing or Amy Cooper's entitled weaponization of white female innocence. What's new these days is only the ability to provide video evidence. We know we need to align ourselves behind the solutions that Black people have long espoused. Black people like the sisters of Tatiana Jefferson, Botham Jean, and Sandra Bland, who recently launched Sisters of the Movement to prevent and reduce police brutality. We don't need a study or a policy lab or an app. When the people who are most directly impacted by our broken systems tell us how to fix them, let's just do that. We know we need to stop telling ourselves fairy tales. The one about economic anxiety. The one about how Confederate monuments celebrate heritage rather than Black slavery. The ones about Black pathology and Black inferiority and Black on Black crime. And anything with the word bootstraps in it. We know better than that. And the longer it takes us to look the truth squarely in the face, the longer it will take for things to change. We know we need to elect the right people. And by people, I mean women. Women in general, and Black women in particular, remain underrepresented throughout our political system. Despite Black women being the backbone of the Democratic Party, no Black woman has ever even served as the governor of a state. In the history of Texas, over 5,000 people have served in the legislature. Fewer than 200 have been women. And that's to our absolute detriment. The leadership of women during this ongoing global crisis has been absolutely inspiring. And we have the chance this November to make a real difference for communities across Texas by flipping party control of the state house, to do it with a majority of women challengers, and to elect the most women to the ledge in the history of our state. Finally, we know Democrats need to win in November. And if we don't win, then shame on us. Now, for those with the misguided message that the people marching in the streets should abandon protesting and just vote in November, I want to be clear. Public protest is the equal and necessary counterpart of voter participation. It is the signal to office holders that they'd better address the needs of the protesting community now, not eventually. And also, if you've lived through the last 2 weeks, you now know that elections matter. But it's not because any particular candidate is uniquely moral or visionary. Elections matter because elected officials are accountable to the people who put them in office and the people who can put them out. There's a reason why Texas Republicans try so hard to shut Black people, brown people, young people out of the political process, and it's not just because they enjoy the feeling of winning. It's because they know that when our communities elect a government that is accountable to us and our values, we will change the unjust systems that prop them up at the expense of everybody else. And y'all, we have the power to do that right now. We have the numbers, we have the determination, and we've damn sure had enough. Thank you.
For decades, Republicans in Texas have been making it harder for Texans to vote. They know that their best chance to hold on to power is to limit access to the ballot. Because when more people vote, our democracy is strengthened. And when more Texans vote, Democrats win. Now, Republicans are exploiting a global health crisis to keep people from exercising their right to vote. And we won't let them get away with it. Texas Democrats will never stop fighting to expand and protect access to the ballot. In order to turn Texas blue in November, we're committed to registering and engaging a new electorate that reflects the diversity of our great state. But if we're going to be able to win, all eligible voters in Texas must be able to cast a ballot and have that vote count. When it comes to voter protection, we've taken to the courts to challenge Republican voter suppression efforts. We fought Republicans' discriminatory voter ID law and won, and beat David Whitley when he corruptly tried to purge the voter rolls. We've also launched a year-round voter protection hotline, which is helping voters navigate the voting process from beginning to end. In order to get more Texans registered to vote, we've undertaken the most expansive voter registration program in our party's history. We recently launched registertexas.com to ensure that all Texans can register to vote from the safety of their own homes. We're also mailing hundreds of thousands of voter registration applications to unregistered voters across the state. Democracy works better when more people vote. Learn more about our voter expansion and voter protection efforts by texting ACCESS to 21333.
Hi, this is Representative Lorraine Bearbill, HD 100 in Dallas. It's an exciting year for Texas Democrats, but we need your help to turn Texas blue. Sign up and join our movement and give what you can, your time, your voice, and your support. Text VOTES to 21333 to get started. I wish we were all here together in person, but please enjoy the convention.
Coming up next, we'll be hearing from Texas Democratic Party Chair Gilberto Hinojosa. Stay tuned.
Buenos dias, Texas Democrats. Thank you for joining us on the final day of our Texas Democratic Convention. Today is our last day of speeches, and it is when we will conclude our party business. And although this chapter in our election story is coming to an end, the story is far from over. When we look back at this election, the most important of our lifetimes, we will recognize the leaders who stepped up, the organizers who unified the masses, and the voters who showed up on Election Day. Every Texas Democratic Convention we bring you all together to conduct party business and show you what we can accomplish as a party when we unite around a shared vision and one that is much bigger than ourselves. We don't do this work because it's easy. We do this work because it's right. While our enemies fan the flames of hate, we inspire greatness. We unite, bridge, and coalesce over the understanding that our family is not just who live in our houses. Our family is our community. It's our state. It's our country. And it's our world. We fight for the people of Texas because this is our family. This is our home. We're bringing positive change to school children who are being denied opportunity because Republican lawmakers don't consider them a profitable investment. We are honoring our veterans who have given so much for this country and who reflect on their service today on D-Day. We're giving hope to those families who have suffered because they don't have access to health care, a basic human right. We are supporting the communities who have been disillusioned by the lack of humanity in the Republican Party. We are taking action because what the Democratic Party is fighting for is humane, it is just, and it is truthful. Over the course of the next 5 months, this team, the voters, the volunteers, and the candidates will be working harder than they ever thought possible. We will go all in, like we never have before, because this is a fight over who will write the rules and who will decide how our communities are treated. We couldn't do this work without each and every one of you, the mothers and the fathers, the abuelitas caring for their grandchildren, the nurses, the firefighters, the teachers, and the children whose futures we're fighting for. This is a movement unlike any other because it is genuine and it is urgent. What you have seen this week is exactly who we are. On Monday, when our Texas Democratic Convention has come to a close, we will not be standing on podiums or sitting behind news desks, but we will be saying the same words and fighting these same fights. We'll take a day or two to rest and reflect on the work we've done this week, and we will return to the table and channel all the insights that we've collected throughout this historic week into our ongoing work. Thank you, Texas Democrats, for sharing this Texas Democratic Convention with us. We are honored by your partnerships and driven by your devotion. Let's go turn Texas blue.
Hello, fellow Democrats. It's an honor to be able to address you and to be introduced by my longtime friend, Gilberto Hinojosa, who has done, I believe, a tremendous job of leading Texas Democrats. I thank Gilberto and all of you for the support you have shown me and given me over the years. I also thank all of you for the work you have done to make Texas competitive again. We're now officially a battleground state, thanks to your efforts, tireless efforts, I might add. But we have work to do. You know, I work in the Texas Senate, but I'm confident we will get there, just as we will in the U.S. Senate, in our congressional seats, and in the Texas House, and in races up and down the ballot. That work is made more meaningful when we start seeing change. We've been doing the lifting, and we are seeing the movement towards a new Texas, a state that values everyone equally. That's why Republicans oppose mail-in ballots, the latest in their long campaign to suppress the vote. They're sticking their fingers in the dike, knowing the wave is building, and we cannot let up, my friends. We must do everything we can to get the voters to the polls, because we know the majority of the public sentiment is with us on the issues. You know, in my time in the Texas Senate, I have fought draconian cuts to education, healthcare, and our safety net, already underfunded. I fought against suppressive voter ID laws, which are proven to make it more difficult for young voters, voters of color, and low-income voters to cast their ballots. I've worked against attacks on Latinos, disguised as border security, a big lie that casts our communities as inherently unsafe and distorts the state spending priorities, leaving less for true needs. I've spoken against the failure to expand Medicaid, which would provide life-saving access to healthcare, especially in these times. I've worked against polluters who get away with a slap on the wrist, and against the growing menace of gun violence and the promotion of discrimination under the guise of, quote, religious beliefs. I couldn't have done this without your encouragement and your support. You know, the pandemic reveals how structurally unsound our economy is for the working class. Lack of testing, lack of access to healthcare, lack of enforcement for businesses that knowingly put their workers in harm's way, insufficient pay, and that's for people who do jobs we now call essential. The Republican plan, well, we know it's not really a plan, it's a gamble, rolling the dice politically that the numbers of people who require hospitalization remain low enough to avoid images of people dying for lack of hospital beds, and hoping that people will die for our economy the way they always have, quietly, out of sight and out of mind. And hoping that not enough die to continue hurting the economy. But in reality, it's not one or the other. This is a false choice. The key to a thriving economy is a strong, healthy workforce. To those concerned about liberty, there is no liberty without life. Accepting preventable deaths as a cost of business is not freedom. It is pure selfishness, profiting from pain and suffering that has been pushed onto others. COVID-19 has laid bare these truths, exposing shortcomings and weaknesses in our system that we can fix. Changes to improve our health and public education system so that Latinx and African Americans are given a fair shot at success, promoting worker rights and fair wages, ensuring equity and non-discrimination so all people can benefit from government policies and programs. This is just to name a few. Put simply, these are policy choices, and unlike the pandemic, they are within our control. I've been honored to fight day in and day out, session in and session out, to move these policy choices forward. I have been honored to do the work and am inspired by seeing all of you Democrats on the cusp of making significant progress. And while I'm retiring from the Senate in December, I'll be with you in the trenches working for positive change. At stake is our democracy. Let's keep fighting and move forward for victory in November beyond. Gracias.
Thank you, Royce. Your words, your voice, and your work are appreciated and more important now than ever before. Thank you for saying their names, speaking hard truths, and bringing the fire. We are honored and grateful for your partnership. And thank you, Senator Rodriguez. Under your time as chair of the Senate Democratic Caucus, you expanded the ranks of Democratic senators to 12. And you led your team of 12 senators, and you flexed, and you successfully blocked the nomination of Greg Abbott's now disgraced former nominee for the Secretary of State, David Whitley, who tried and failed to disenfranchise nearly 100,000 Texans after using bad data to declare them non-citizens. Now, next up, the platform. The platform is a statement of the party's values, our vision, and the policies that will help our state achieve that vision. This document also represents the efforts of dozens of people working countless hours after virtually every call, the Platform Committee co-chair, State Representative Celia Israel and John Busey, put in the hours and led the process from conception to completed product. So I want to thank them and thank the committee members for all of their hard work. We'll hear from Representative Busey in just a minute.
Another major item of business for Democrats is picking our nominees. You know, John Cornyn's approval rating has hovered around 37% or worse the entire cycle. We know this is a key race, and it's up to Texas Democrats to pick who's going to be our nominee moving forward. So today we're going to hear from both of our United States Senate Democratic candidates. And first off in the next segment will be MJ Hegar.
And just one more reminder, tonight at 6 o'clock, remember we're going to watch both of the candidates face off at the official Texas Democratic Senate debate. It'll be broadcast in virtually every media market in Texas, thanks to our partnership with Nexstar Broadcasting.
Hey there, fellow Democrats. I'm Bexar County Commissioner Justin Rodriguez here in San Antonio. Listen, we know this is a big election year. It's huge. We need to turn Texas blue, and the only way we can do that is with your time, energy, and effort. We need to lay it all on the line in this election this fall. So it starts today. Text VOTES, VOTES, to 21333. Have a great convention, and let's turn Texas blue.
I'm Bruce Elfant, Travis County Tax Assessor and Voter Registrar. I'm proud to be a member of a party that supports voting rights measures like online voter registration and no excuses vote by mail. Most Americans already have these rights, but not Texans. Our democracy's strongest when more citizens are able to vote. You can help make it easier for Texans to register and vote by texting VOTES to 21333 and have a great convention.
Donald Trump can't win the White House without Texas, and that means we have to fight like the future of our state and our country depends on it, because it does. Our party and the Democratic movement we have built is powered by the hundreds of thousands of Texas Democrats who graciously contribute to our efforts. Over the years, thanks to individual donations of $3, $7, and $10, we have built a Democratic infrastructure capable of turning Texas blue up and down the ballot. The support we've received from donors is incredible. These grassroots contributions are the driving force behind our work and our victories. Now we're headed into the most important election of our lifetimes, and we can't take our foot off the gas. We will never stop working to create opportunities for hardworking Texans. We're fighting for strong neighborhood schools, higher incomes for working families, quality health care, and an economy that works for everyone. By contributing just $7, you will propel our movement forward and bring us that much closer to flipping Texas. Together, we can win this election. Together, we can change the course of history.
So it's a lot of data. It's all very useful data. It's in fact gold-plated data. They basically data mine it in a way that helps not just predict, but understand what's going on in the electorate.
Coming up next, we'll be hearing from the Platform Committee. Stay tuned.
Hello, Texas Democrats. My name is John Busey, and I'm proud to represent House District 136 in the Texas Legislature, serving Northwest Austin, Cedar Park, Leander, and Williamson County. I'm one of 12 freshman Democrats who flipped a seat from red to blue in 2018, and I was honored to have been chosen by my colleagues in the House Democratic Caucus as Freshman of the Year. I'm extremely grateful to our chairman, Gilberto Hinojosa, for asking me to co-chair the Platform Committee. I want to thank him for his steadfast leadership of our party and for the opportunity to serve. I want to thank my co-chair, Representative Celia Israel. She's my dear friend and mentor, and we've worked together many years. And I know that when we flip the House this November, it will be because of her efforts alongside her team at the House Democratic Campaign Committee. I'm grateful to the TDP caucus leaders and our partners in labor and similar progressive stakeholders, activists, and issue area experts who served on the Platform Advisory Committee, as well as each member of the Permanent Committee who have perfected our party's platform to meet the challenges of today while fighting for a better future for all of us. I'm proud that in 2020, when faced with the greatest challenges in a generation, which have been underlined and exacerbated by COVID-19, Texas Democrats are fighting for opportunity and dignity for every person in our state. With an economy in crisis and a status quo that favors the rich and powerful over working Texans, we've called for a living wage that is at least $15 per hour, safe working conditions and good benefits, and to uphold the rights of workers to organize, to prioritize our small and local businesses, and for robust consumer protection. When too many Texans have to choose between putting food on the table, keeping a roof over their head, or being able to afford needed health care, Texas Democrats are fighting for health care for all, because health care is a human right. We believe in a preventative-based healthcare system and public policy rooted in science. We believe in reproductive justice and abortion rights. That government should never come between patients and their healthcare providers, but should instead focus on ending disparities for marginalized and underserved communities and addressing critical issues, including expanding Medicaid, maternal mortality, mental health, substance use disorder services, and rural hospital closures. After years of Republican-led legislatures categorically underfunding and neglecting our public schools, Texas Democrats were instrumental in securing $11.6 billion more dollars to fund our schools and buy down property taxes. But we know that's just the beginning. We need to ensure that every child has access to high-quality public education from pre-K to post-secondary, and that their classrooms are free from gun violence. Texas Democrats call for supporting our teachers by giving them a well-deserved raise, shoring up their health care and retirement, and providing them with classrooms that are modern and well-supplied. And no matter what new name Dan Patrick gives them, we remain opposed to voucher schemes that would siphon money away from our public schools. Over the past week, many of our communities have seen widespread protests following yet another killing of an unarmed black man by a police officer. Being black in America comes with real challenges, dangers, and fears that white America will never experience. That's an indisputable fact. We must confront systemic racism within our society, and a key part of that is criminal justice reform. Texas Democrats are proposing that we transform policing, ending militarization, beefing up use of force standards, and shifting funds to emergency medical services, mental health services, homeless solution offices, and housing and neighborhood revitalization. That we prioritize diversion for nonviolent offenders, eliminate private prisons, and improve jail conditions. We must stop charging children as adults and end tough on crime sentencing. We must legalize marijuana and once and for all get rid of the death penalty. In light of climate change and the indisputable havoc it is wreaking on our planet, we are standing up for clean air and water, environmental protections, green infrastructure, and preserving Texas's wildlife, parks, and open spaces. We must be a leader on clean energy and environmental consciousness. This cannot wait. Future generations are depending on us, and Texas Democrats, we must deliver. Now, whether it's Columbine or Newtown, Las Vegas or Pulse, or right here in Texas, in Killeen, Midland, Odessa, Sutherland Springs, Santa Fe, or El Paso, senseless acts of gun violence must stop. As Texas Democrats, we support the Second Amendment, but we know that common sense reforms like universal background checks and closing gun show and private sale loopholes, restoring the federal prohibition of the sale of assault weapons, repealing campus carry, and ensuring safe storage saves lives. And that's what we're after. In defiance of a racist president, an administration whose earliest acts were to instate a Muslim ban, threaten dreamers, and demonize immigrants, Texas Democrats are calling for comprehensive immigration reform with a pathway to citizenship and humane treatment for asylum seekers, including a ban on separating children from their parents and housing children in tent cities and cages. And in a time of crisis, Texas Democrats know the right to vote, participate in civic affairs, and to self-determination are more important than ever. That's why we're calling for safe and robust in-person voting and universal, no-excuse vote by mail. We need automatic and online voter registration. We must end gerrymandering and limit the pervading influence of money in politics. These are just a sample of the policies and programs that as Texas Democrats, we can all be proud of. I want to close with this. We live in the shadows of giants, Texans like LBJ, Barbara Jordan, and Ann Richards, whose grit and determination, courage to tell the hard truths, and relentless pursuit of the common good transformed our society. Their spirit lives on in all of us, in each of you watching at home, in our friends and families, and in untold generations to come. It is up to us now to guard their legacy, to refashion it and make it our own, to bring out the best in each other and achieve together more than we ever thought was possible. In 2020, Texas Democrats, we must have a platform that upholds our highest ideals and represents the best of what we have to offer as a community, a state, and a nation. Together, we can make Texas as good as its promise and restore our nation to the path of justice and opportunity for all. As co-chair of the Platform Committee, on behalf of my co-chair, Representative Israel, I move adoption of the committee's report. The platform has been posted on the convention website entitled Platform Committee Report. Delegates, you were instructed to vote on adoption of the draft proposed by the committee, and the results of that vote shall be posted on the convention website today. I want to thank you all so much, Texas Democrats.
It's still your Parker Mims, Democratic candidate for County Commissioner. We can win big in Texas this year, but we need you to turn Texas blue. Sign up and join our movement and give what you can, your time, your voice, and your support. Text votes to 21333 to get started. Enjoy your convention.
Texas Democrats. Our next speaker, MJ Hegar, is one of the boldest Texas Democrats our state has ever seen. One of our candidates for the U.S. Senate, she is running to fight for Texans in Washington and bringing our issues to the national spotlight. Both MJ Hegar and Royce West have exhibited an unwavering commitment to our democratic values. They have both fought for working Texans, and they have fought for an inclusive, equitable, and progressive future. MJ Hegar is a decorated combat veteran, working mom, and Texan taking on the fight against John Cornyn. No stranger to tough fights, MJ Hegar served 3 tours in Afghanistan as a combat search and rescue medevac pilot, and then successfully took on the bureaucrats in Washington to open up jobs for hundreds of thousands of women in the military. MJ's tired of politics as usual and is fighting to bring Washington a healthy dose of Texas values. And she's energized by Texans across the state who are joining the mission. On that note, I'd like to introduce one of our Democratic candidates for the United States Senate, MJ Hegar.
Thank you to the Texas Democratic Party for putting this convention together. And thank you to everyone out there tuning in and taking the time to get involved and do the work it will take to deliver tangible solutions to the challenges facing everyday Texans. These past few months, especially this last week, have shined a bright light on many of the long-standing challenges our country is facing. Horrific racial injustice, lack of access to affordable health care, and elected officials who so transparently put the profits of special interests over facts, science, and the people that they are supposed to represent. I know these violations can feel overwhelming and insurmountable, but as someone who has taken on challenges that others thought were impossible, I'm here to tell you that come November, we can and will deliver the results our country needs. Y'all, I know a thing or two about taking on tough fights and successfully completing a difficult mission. As a young girl in public school, while my mom worked 3 jobs to keep food on the table, I dreamed of growing up and becoming Han Solo. But around age 7, it became clear that the closest that I could get to that was becoming a military pilot. But when I told people that that was my goal, I was often dismissed with assertions that any career in the combat arms was no place for a woman. Well, unwilling to back down, I joined the Air Force and worked my butt off to get selected for a highly competitive spot in their elite pilot training program. I served 3 tours in Afghanistan as a combat search and rescue helicopter pilot. And on a rescue mission during my last tour, I was shot, and the helicopter I was co-piloting was brought down by gunfire. When we landed, there were just 9 of us on the ground, surrounded by 150 Taliban fighters. Now, those are some tough odds, but we were able to come together as a team and successfully complete a difficult mission by facing the challenge before us head on. Barred from applying for my next job in the military, simply because I was a woman, I co-founded a team of colleagues to go and take on the bureaucrats in D.C. and get them to overturn an outdated policy that was not only wrong, but was hurting military effectiveness, retention, and recruiting. Now, I was just a private citizen who was not a big donor with powerful political allies. Yet I was successful in building the broad bipartisan coalition that opened up hundreds of thousands of jobs for women in the military. We need more of that in Washington. When I look at D.C., I don't see Texas values like strength, grit, and backbone reflected back at me. Instead, I see a senator sitting on his ass in our seat in self-preservation mode, selling out everyday Texans to his political allies and special interest donors. Many of his failures illustrate why we must end Citizens United. Instead of taking meaningful action to curb gun violence and fix our immigration system, Senator Cornyn cashes checks from the private prison industry and the gun lobby. Instead of working to expand access to health care, Cornyn has led the effort to dismantle the ACA and deny coverage to millions of Texans. Instead of fighting for Texas seniors by securing Social Security and Medicare, Cornyn has repeatedly supported cuts to these safety nets because his own security is safeguarded by 3 taxpayer pensions. Look, most egregiously, instead of leading and standing up against racial injustice, he spreads race-baiting rhetoric and misinformation while excusing the tear gassing and violent removal of peaceful protesters and clergy from Lafayette Square. It is inexcusable that this administration is more reminiscent of China's government in Hong Kong than the leaders of the free world. Well, one protest they won't be able to silence is our taking the U.S. Senate and the White House back for the people. I am running for Senate because I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. This fascism and flagrant infringement of our basic rights is the greatest domestic threat to our Constitution since the Civil War. And I am grateful to those military leaders who are speaking out and standing up to those who would take our country down a path of authoritarianism. If we want to protect the world that my 2 young boys and all of our kids are growing up into, we need to win this fight. I will fight for all Texans to have access to quality, affordable health care and lower prescription drug prices. I will fight to ensure equality for the queer community and protect women's reproductive freedom. I will fight to create economic opportunities for every Texan so that your bank account or where you are born does not determine if you can succeed. I will fight to end our unconscionable family separation policies and pass comprehensive immigration reform. I will fight for aggressive solutions to climate change by investing in renewable energy jobs here in Texas and modernizing our energy grid. I will fight for common sense gun safety measures so our communities no longer feel like the war zone I thought I left behind in Afghanistan. And I will fight for racial justice, not just in our criminal justice system, but access to small business capital, housing, healthcare, and our economy. Y'all, we can do this. I've traveled tens of thousands of miles across this great state to talk with Texans. And since the pandemic hit, I held dozens of virtual events with thousands of folks from Houston to El Paso. I see and feel the grassroots enthusiasm. Texans of all ages are yearning for a government that works for them. And they're excited about seeing candidates on the ballot that have actually faced a lot of the challenges that they encounter every day. We are going to continue running a coordinated campaign with down-ballot candidates to flip our state house, help Biden win Texas, and pull together to kick some serious ass over the next 5 months. But I need y'all on this mission with me. Join our team today. And together, we will tell our bootlicking lapdog of a senator as he packs up his office, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
Welcome back. Up next, your resolutions report, and a special thanks to Chair Vicky Vogel for the hard work, the many hours putting this resolution report together. And Cliff, who's our next Democratic champion to address this convention?
Congressman Lloyd Doggett. Congressman Doggett proudly represents his district that runs from Austin to San Antonio, but he is beloved throughout the entire state of Texas and the country for being so out front and outspoken and for bolstering the progressive ranks in the halls of Congress. Congressman Doggett has spent a lifetime being a voice to the voiceless, and we are fortunate to hear his voice today at our convention.
Stay tuned, folks. We'll see you in a bit.
In 87, we took our seat at the table. In 90, we took the governor's mansion. In 98, we took the state party chairmanship. But when he took office, we took to the streets. And now we're coming for you, Donald Trump.
For decades, Republicans in Texas have been making it harder for Texans to vote. They know that their best chance to hold on to power is to limit access to the ballot. Because when more people vote, our democracy is strengthened. And when more Texans vote, Democrats win. Now, Republicans are exploiting a global health crisis to keep people from exercising their right to vote. And we won't let them get away with it. Texas Democrats will never stop fighting to expand and protect access to the ballot. In order to turn Texas blue in November, we're committed to registering and engaging a new electorate that reflects the diversity of our great state. But if we're going to be able to win, all eligible voters in Texas must be able to cast the ballot and have that vote count. When it comes to voter protection, we've taken to the courts to challenge Republican voter suppression efforts. We fought Republicans' discriminatory voter ID law and won, and beat David Whitley when he corruptly tried to purge the voter rolls. We've also launched a year-round voter protection hotline, which is helping voters navigate the voting process from beginning to end. In order to get more Texans registered to vote, we've undertaken the most expansive voter registration program in our party's history. We recently launched registertexas.com to ensure that all Texans can register to vote from the safety of their own homes. We're also mailing hundreds of thousands of voter registration applications to unregistered voters across the state. Democracy works better when more people vote. Learn more about our voter expansion and voter protection efforts by texting ACCESS to 21333.
Coming up next, we have our Resolutions Committee. Stay tuned.
Chairman, the Permanent Resolutions Committee met on May 25th and May 28th. We recommend some 61 resolutions, including 7 memorials. As chair of the Resolutions Committee, I move adoption of the committee's report. The resolutions have been posted on the convention website entitled Resolutions Committee Report. Delegates were instructed to vote on each resolution, and the result of those votes shall be posted on the convention website today. Thank you.
Coming up next, we'll be hearing from U.S. Representative Lloyd Doggett. Stay tuned.
Hello, fellow Democrats.
Our convention comes at a deeply troubling time, following a single week during which an officer sworn to uphold the law suffocated George Floyd. U.S. corona deaths rose above 100,000 Americans, and President Trump tweeted a speech that the only good Democrat is a dead Democrat. Then this failing president, who makes a mask of everything except his mouth, who will do almost anything to stay in office, used the military to remove peaceful protesters outside the White House so he could go across the street and stand clinging a Bible of which he knows little in front of a church whose bishop condemned his wrongdoing. We must sound the alarm that Black Lives Matter, but we also must put out the fire. Real systematic change will come with Democrats winning from the White House to the courthouse. Whether the virus is new, like coronavirus, or it's old, like systematic racism, the cure is to vote, vote, vote. I believe that social distancing need not prevent social engagement for social justice, but we have to be very creative about it in finding new methods of engagement. So when you go home from this convention, I guess most of you are probably already at home, but when you're sitting there and you're thinking, what can I do to make a difference? Other than making another small contribution to your favorite candidates, I believe what you can do that will make the most difference is to help more of your neighbors vote by mail in the midst of this pandemic. There's only one reason why Trump is trying so hard to squash vote by mail, and that's because he knows if more people vote, Republicans will lose. Helping people vote by mail is not difficult. You just go, as many are already doing, to your local county clerk's website and pull down the application for vote by mail. If you are working with people who are 65 or older, they have a clear, unqualified right to vote by mail. Many already do, but we need to be sure all Democrats vote that way. If you are less than 65 and you have a qualifying disability, you too are entitled to vote by mail. While the Texas Supreme Court held that not having immunity from the coronavirus alone cannot be the basis for claiming a disability, it left to the individual voter the decision of what beyond not having immunity would qualify to complete the application. We just can't let our indicted Attorney General intimidate and take away the right of the individual voter to make that decision. So if you are legally qualified, be sure to check box 6A for an annual application so you'll get one for November as well. You know, Trump, he wants his name on just about everything. Your relief check, buildings, his sorry wall, but the one place it really belongs is on death certificates of the many who have been lost because of his denial, delay, and ongoing deception. Of course, business has never been better if you're a mortician, if you're a casket maker, or a grave digger. But what we're called to do is to ensure that we don't let Trump dig a grave for our freedoms and for our democracy. So very much is at stake. So stay well, stay healthy, and this November, let's make this democracy healthy once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Congressman Doggett, for your unwavering support, your bold leadership, your progressive action. We're going to get this done, and we're going to get this done because of your support. So thank you so, so much. Now we've got a lot of segments coming in. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of party business, our rules report chaired by Libby Willis, our nominations of delegates for the National Convention, who, by the way, is chaired by the president of the Texas AFL-CIO, Rick Levy. And let me just say, there is no bigger partner to the Texas Democratic Party than our brothers and sisters and people in the labor movement. They've always stood by our side, and we're proud to stand with them for the working Texans.
Next up, we have a son of Laredo, Congressman Henry Cuellar, a former Texas House member, former Secretary of State, and as a congressman, he's been a stalwart supporter of the institutions crucial to the operation of our party, from the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee to the Democratic National Committee and of course, to a state party back home.
And we're going to be excited to hear from our good friend, the Travis County Democratic Party Chair and Planned Parenthood Executive Director, Diana Limon Mercado, about how the turning point in our Democratic movement arrived when two Texas women, Wendy Davis and Leticia Vanderpute, brought the Democratic Party national spotlight into the fight for reproductive rights, and how that movement has laid the foundation for the victories that we're going to be experiencing today.
Also coming up is our good friend, State Representative Jean Wu. What I appreciate about the representative is that he's really taken up the cause of registering voters in places that are too often overlooked, in apartment complexes, which are home to underrepresented groups and to many soon-to-be Democratic voters. And it's not just in his district, but throughout the state. It's a true passion. Also, if you're looking for someone that's equal parts funny and fiery to follow on social media, you need to be following at Jean Wu. Finally, stay tuned for our next Democratic candidate for the United States Senate, Senator Royce West. See you soon.
It's Councilmember Paige Ellis here, representing Southwest Austin. We can win big in Texas this year, but we need you to turn Texas blue. Sign up, join our movement, and give what you can, whether it's your time, your voice, or your support. Text VOTES to 21333 to get started. Enjoy your convention.
When you choose natural gas, showers stay hotter for longer. Towels get fluffier, bank accounts tend to put on some weight, and our blue planet gets a little greener. Atmos Energy, your natural gas company.
Hey everybody, it's Chris Turner, State Representative and Chairman of the Texas House Democratic Caucus. Welcome to our 2020 State Democratic Convention. 2020 is going to be our year. We are going to elect Joe Biden the president, and we're going to win a Democratic majority in the Texas House of Representatives. Let's go make it happen.
Coming up next, we have our Rules Committee. Stay tuned.
Mr. Chairman, the Permanent Rules Committee of the Texas Democratic State Convention met on May 26, 2020. The committee recommended adoption of all 13 amendments to the Texas Democratic Party rules made by the State Democratic Executive Committee during the 2018-2020 term with the following amendments: expanding the public notice requirements for SDEC meetings and allowing those meetings to be conducted in person, by video conference or telephone conference call, and live stream to the public. And that's rule proposal number 1. establishing the time the convention chair is required to post the affirmative action levels following district national delegate elections at the state convention. That is real proposal number 6, and amending rules regarding the conduct of multi-district Senate district and state conventions, including amending rules regarding the submission of resolutions at the state convention to reflect the traditional practice, and that is real proposal number 10. As chair of the Rules Committee, I move adoption of the committee report. The 13 amendments to the rules of the Texas Democratic Party have been posted on the convention website entitled Rules Committee Report. Delegates were instructed to vote on each proposal, and the results of those votes shall be posted on the convention website today.
Coming soon, we'll be hearing from former U.S. Representative Beto O'Rourke. Stay tuned.
Texas is the biggest battleground state in the country. Our Democratic Party is building a future that is focused in equality and prosperity.
Our mission is innovative, inclusive, and hopeful. We are creating a Texas that we can all believe and thrive in.
Some of the boldest Democrats to navigate the halls of Congress have called Texas home, and some of them have even made their mark on the White House.
Texas produces progressives, trailblazers, and steady-handed leaders alike who consistently push the needle on issue after issue.
Our leaders champion the noblest of causes because we believe that our country is stronger when we celebrate diversity, live our values, and inspire unity.
Texas Democrats have built a movement founded on landmark policies and programs that make America one of a kind.
We safeguard our planet and fight for equal rights. We deliver on building an economy that works for all Texans. We defend a woman's right to choose, and we challenge the inhumane policies that set to tear our country apart.
While Texas Democrats may differ in their approaches, each one of them has fought like hell to change the course of history and leave our state that much more equitable.
We are the party that paves the way for the future because we cannot advance as a society until everyone has a seat at the table. Donald Trump can't win the White House without Texas, and we've got a plan to defeat him.
We know that the strength and resilience of our movement means that we can overcome any challenge set before us.
We know that we will succeed because what we are fighting for is humane, it is just, and it is truthful.
Every day, little by little, our movement grows and our chants for justice ring louder.
We are shaping the political future of our state and ensuring that everyone has a fair shot at the American dream.
This is what it means to be a Texas Democrat. Because when we save Texas, we save our democracy.
And when we save our country, we save the world.
Hi, y'all. I'm Victoria Nieves, State Representative. We will get through these tough times because we're Texans, we're tough, and juntos, we will arise from this crisis stronger. So, let's get out the vote. Si se puede.
Hi, I'm Representative Gina Hinojosa of Austin. I know we all want to be with each other right now, but the sacrifices we are making today are saving lives. Thank you, Texas Democrats, for always taking care of one another. Now let's go flip the Texas House.
Coming up next, we have our nominations report for national delegates. Stay tuned.
Good morning, Texas Democrats. My name is Rick Levy. I'm president of the Texas AFL-CIO, and I chaired the Nominations Committee for National Delegates. Before giving my report, I want to just honor the Texas Democratic Party and note how we in organized labor and the folks at the leadership of the Texas Democratic Party have always been hand in hand fighting for the interests of working people. And that extends not just to what they say, but to what they do. And I'm so proud to announce today that the field organizers of the Texas Democratic Party have opted to be represented by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, and that the Texas Democratic Democratic Party has voluntarily recognized that association, and so the Texas Democratic Party is now a union employer as well. That's walking the walk as well as talking the talk. Now, our committee was charged with selecting 49 at-large delegates and 30 pledged party or elected officials. The committee worked closely with the campaigns of Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden to select these great Democrats and to get as close as possible to our affirmative action goals for traditionally underrepresented communities. And I was so moved during this process by the cooperation of the Sanders campaign and the Biden campaign. Letitia Van de Putte for the Biden campaign and Farouk Shamsi from the Sanders campaign, working together with the understanding that we have to come together if we're going to win in 2020. So Texas sends our Democratic congresspersons, the members of the DNC, and these at-large and PLEO delegates and 149 district-level delegates that you elected during this convention. This delegation is the youngest and the most diverse in the history of Texas. And I'm proud of the product we've created, and I hope you are too. Our delegation reflects that in this moment, with over 100,000 people in this country dead from the virus, with over 2 million jobs in Texas alone lost, with the streets filled with outrage and with people demanding justice, that we have one option, and that is to raise our voices for justice and to show up at the polls and vote in November. On November 3rd, they're not going to count tweets, retweets, or Facebook likes. They're going to count votes. And it's up to us to make sure that each one of us does everything we can to turn out the vote so that we can win in November. Our democracy cannot survive another 4 years of this. I look forward to working with Democrats to flip the Texas House, to send John Cornyn home, and to win the White House again. So, as the chair of the Nominations Committee for National Delegates, I move adoption of the committee's report. The platform proposal has been posted on the convention website for a week, and delegates have had time to review it. The report has been placed before the delegates to vote to adopt the 2020 Texas delegation to the Democratic National Convention, and the result of that online vote shall be posted on the website today. Brothers and sisters, the time is now. We have to stand together. In doing so, we can change Texas. And when we change Texas, we change this country. And when we change this country, we change the world. That starts at this convention. That will continue through this election. And we will continue organizing before, during, and after the election to make sure that the needs of working people are represented in the halls of our government. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Coming up next, we'll be hearing from U.S. Representative Henry Cuellar. Stay tuned.
Hello, I'm Congressman Henry Cuellar. Welcome, Texas Democrats and distinguished guests from all over the country. When I first entered the Texas House years ago, Democrats control the House, the Senate, and nearly all statewide offices. This cycle, with the leadership of my good friend and our chairman, Gilbert Hinojosa, along with his talented and dedicated staff like my friend and former staff member Cliff Walker and the executive director Manny Garcia, we will win. We're ready to return the Democratic Party back to greatness and the strength of years past. I'm a proud South Texan. I grew up in Laredo, the son of migrant workers who only achieved a 3rd and 5th grade education. As the oldest of 8 kids, we were never rich with money, but we always were rich with love and hope for the future. My parents raised us to work hard and get a good education. I washed dishes to work my way through college, and I personally know the struggle young Texans and young Americans, especially first-generation college students, face. Our party, the Texas Democratic Party, is leading the fight for affordable college tuition. I authored the largest financial aid program in Texas history, the Texas Grant, and increased the Pell Grant for years, as well as brought back the Summer Pell Grant to help students afford college. Now, student loan debt is crippling our young people just as they're about to start their lives and their careers. It is a national priority, and I'm proud to work with my Democratic colleagues and with my good friend, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, to address student loan debt. As a lifelong resident of the border, I'm proud that our party is leading our effort to make sure that we fight that 14th century solution to border security, called the wall. Stop that wall. Stop the separation of families and acknowledge that immigrants make our country stronger and better. Now, during this COVID-19 crisis, our weaknesses as a nation have been exposed. Despite our passage of the Affordable Care Act and our efforts to expand Medicaid, too many Americans, too many Texans have been left behind. If we organize, mobilize, and work hard, we can take back the majority, the Texas House, the Texas Senate, and make Medicaid expansion a reality. Therefore, I have contributed substantially to the Texas Democratic Party and have committed to Chairman Hinojosa to fundraise for Texas Democrats to win this November. For the first time in a generation, the DNC, the DSCC, the DCCC see Texas as a battleground state. Thanks to my friend and the DCCC chair, Sherry Bustos, for the first time in history, we have several DCCC operatives on the ground and have opportunity, a real opportunity to take back the 23rd Congressional District and many other congressional districts back. Therefore, I have contributed and raised over $1 million to support the DCCC and our Texas staff. I will continue to do more for the DCCC. It will also soon host a large fundraiser with Dr. Jill Biden. If we follow the guidance of my parents, if we work hard, we can take Texas back, grow our majority in the U.S. House of Representatives, take back the Senate, elect Vice President Joe Biden as the next president of the United States. Give what you can of your time and your money. Go work hard, support our state party, and all the other efforts to turn Texas blue. Now, let me leave you with this last thought. When you're in your car and if you want to go backwards, you put your car in R, reverse. If you want to move forward, you put your car in D, drive. The same thing with our political parties. If you want to move forward on education, healthcare, on jobs, you vote D for Democrats. And if you want to go backwards with policies that are harmful to our state and our country, you vote R. So let's put this car in D. Let's go forward. The Texas Democrats will move Texas and our country forward. It's time to take our state and our country back. Vamos a ganar. Vamos a ganar con el Partido Demócrata.
Coming up next, we'll be hearing from Planned Parenthood Texas Vote's Executive Director, Diana Limon Mercado. Stay tuned.
Hi, everyone. Hello, Texas Democrats. I'm Diana Limon Mercado, the Executive Director of Planned Parenthood Texas Votes and the proud chair of the Travis County Democratic Party. Thank you so much to Chairman Hinojosa and Vice Chair Braley, along with the TDP staff and volunteers, for putting together one of the most memorable and meaningful conventions we've ever had in Texas. Planned Parenthood Texas Votes is an advocacy and political organization working to protect and expand reproductive health care in Texas through grassroots organizing. As our nation confronts the COVID-19 pandemic, which is disproportionately ravaging Black and Latinx communities, we must address the public health crisis that racism presents. If Black people and people of color don't have the right to bodily autonomy to live their daily lives or protest the violence against their lives without fear of violence or murder, we can never achieve justice, let alone reproductive freedom. Freedom from violence is reproductive justice. We stand with our Black colleagues and supporters, volunteers, partners, and the community at large as we work collectively to dismantle white supremacy. And I am proud to be here today along so many activists, voters, and allies who are committed to the same through our everyday actions and through our elections. Texas is the biggest battleground state in the country, and the Texas Democratic Party has built the programs and is mobilizing a movement to help flip seats for progressive champions up and down the ballot. Champions like Wendy Davis, Natalie Hurtado, Elizabeth Beck, and Kiki Williams. Now more than ever, voters are demanding nothing less than full equality and freedom from racism and sexism. Reproductive justice is a framework developed by Black women, and it requires that people be able to live and raise their families in safe and healthy communities. Reproductive justice does mean access to contraception and abortion and full reproductive health care. It also means being able to earn a living wage, earn paid sick leave, and have health coverage. It means being able to have a healthy child and raise that child in a community with clean water and quality public schools. It means being able to live and raise a family in a community free from gun violence and free from police violence. Planned Parenthood is proud to be a reproductive health and rights organization and to support the reproductive justice movement being led by Black women and women of color. Being part of the fight for healthy communities is what inspired me to run for the Travis County Democratic Party chair. Serving as the first Hispanic person to ever hold this position has been an incredible honor and journey. And now, inspired by bold and unapologetic leaders like Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo and Tarrant County Commissioner Devin Allen, I've made the decision to run for Travis County Judge, which would again be another first for Travis County. Conservative politicians in Texas have spent the last 2 decades relentlessly attacking reproductive health and rights. When COVID-19 hit our state, our economy, and our families, one of Governor Abbott's first executive orders was to ban abortion, creating a nightmare within a nightmare for people trying to access time-sensitive, essential health care. Ultimately, the only way we're going to be able to stop these attacks once and for all, and to actually expand and protect health care, including abortion, is by electing leaders who will be champions for reproductive health and rights. Texas conservatives have demonstrated time and again that they will take every opportunity to restrict our freedoms if it serves their political interest, which is why we must vote like our lives depend on it, because they do. Unfortunately, there is no amount of science, logic, personal stories, or good public policy that we can share with these extremist lawmakers that can convince them that healthcare is a human right. We're actively challenging the misinformation campaign being spearheaded by the current president. Now more than ever, we must be unwavering in our commitment to the truth and to justice. Planned Parenthood stands with all women and with all Texans. We stand with Black women, women of color, and with immigrants. We stand with trans women and the LGBTQ community. We will fight alongside women and people with disabilities, and we believe women who have been sexually assaulted. And we stand with the young people who are leading the way in our movement now. Everything we stand for is on the line in November. But if we all stand together and stand up for each other, we can win. We can make our voices heard, and we are the ones we've been waiting for. Like Dolores Huerta said, sí se puede. Thank you.
Coming soon, we'll be hearing from former U.S. Representative Beto O'Rourke. Stay tuned.
This is Adam Lowy of the Lowy Law Firm. I am very proud to support the Texas Democratic Party and this virtual convention. Let's all work hard to turn Texas blue.
We at PepsiCo believe we have an important role to play in helping to advance social and economic opportunities in those communities where we live and work. And at PepsiCo, we as a company can and must operate responsibly and sustainably. That we must add value to the communities in which we operate, because we know that our overall long-term success is linked to that value we provide. This is PepsiCo.
Hi, y'all. I'm Erin Sweener, the state representative for House District 45. I was a surprise win in 2018, proving that it's worth fighting for every single race. I'm looking forward to my re-election in 2020.
Hi, Texas. My name is Gene Wu. I am the state rep for House District 137, and I have the honor of representing Southwest Houston, one of the most diverse places in this nation. And I'm here to talk to you about two really important things. Number one, as one of the only Asian Americans in the state government, I want to say this. The Asian American community supports the African American community, supports the Hispanic American community, supports the LGBT community, supports the Muslim American community, and any other community that has been oppressed, that has been wronged, and that has been discriminated against, because we understand what that's like. And that is very important to us right now, at this moment. In 2018, the Asian American community had the biggest swing politically from supporting somewhere in the middle to overwhelmingly Democratic. And we need to keep this up, especially right now. Because right now, we have Republican congressmen calling for the seizure of Chinese American-owned properties. We have Republican senators calling for the enactment of a second Chinese Exclusion Act. And it is more important than ever that we fight against hate, fight against bigotry, because the hate that we thought long ago was dead, the hate from more than 100 years ago, is right here. It's never left the house. And we need to fight together, and we need to support Democrats who will push back against this bigotry, push back against this hate, and speak up for our community time and time again. And that brings me to my second thing. I know there's a lot of people out there who are young, who are new to politics, who have become activists for the first time in recent weeks. And sometimes you hear from people that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter who you vote for. It doesn't matter who you pick. It doesn't matter who gets elected. And I am here to tell you that is wrong. That is dead wrong. Because if you look around the nation right now, you look at the places that are making meaningful changes right now at this moment. There are places controlled by Democratic mayors, controlled by Democratic legislatures and governors. There are places that are controlled by progressives. And we need your support to make that happen in Texas. Because as I've said over and over again, protests work, but elections matter. And we need you to vote, damn it. So join me this November. We need everybody. We need everybody out there fighting for change in America. It can't just be a protest this week. It can't just be a protest next week. We have to build the infrastructure that we need going forward to turn Texas blue.
Texas Democrats, I'd like to introduce to you our next speaker, Texas Senator Royce West. When Texas Democrats beat John Cornyn in November, it will be because our Democratic candidates stood up for the right issues. Royce West and MJ Hegar understand that what Texans are facing now, and I have no doubt that either one of them will voice our values in the United States Senate and stand up for what's right for Texans. For nearly 3 decades, Senator Royce West has been a fierce Democratic leader in the Texas Senate representing Dallas's 23rd district. West has led on public education, health care, criminal justice reform, and more in his efforts to ensure a fair shot for all Texans. Frequently cited as one of the most influential political leaders in Texas, Royce West will bring his commitment to fairness and justice if elected to the United States Senate. On that note, I'd like to introduce one of our Democratic candidates for the United States Senate, Senator Royce West.
My friends, I address you today under somber circumstances. As we gather, Americans of all races and religions are taking to the streets to protest the death of George Floyd at the knee of a police officer in Minneapolis, and they're demanding justice and change. I've watched the coverage of these protests, and the fact of the matter is, I've been involved in one in Dallas. The backdrop of these events is, of course, our ongoing fight against COVID as states across the country attempt to reopen. The COVID-19 pandemic, its impact, and the deaths of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor have ignited an undercurrent of racial and economic tension that had been bubbling to the surface for decades. We saw these economic tensions reach a boiling point when over 40 million people, our fellow citizens, became unemployed in this country, and many of them are living from paycheck to paycheck. We've seen the racial tension reach critical mass with the death of George Floyd. We are now, my friends, at a flashpoint in this country. What will we do? Will we finally admit, as a nation, that since inception, we've had our proverbial foot on the neck of ethnic minorities, from indigenous people to Asian Americans, and that George Floyd is only the latest in a long line of racial atrocities in this country? This must change now. I'll say it again, we are at a flashpoint in this country. We had children in cages along the border under this president. Now, our children are witnessing police officers killing African Americans on TV. And that must come, and we must make certain that we change that. Transgender people are being beaten in our streets. Millions of Americans live in poverty or on the razor edge of poverty. Our current leadership at the national level, John Cornyn and Donald Trump, just don't get it. It's time to retire them, my friends. We need new leadership, but we must exercise caution in picking our leaders. We must pick the best experienced leader to accomplish those things that Texas needs. Texas needs a new leader who will represent all Texans, from the poorest of the poor to small business owners. I have 27 years of experience. Texas needs an experienced leader who knows how to build coalitions to tackle difficult issues, from healthcare to criminal justice to education. All experiences I've had as a state senator. To serve all Texans, our next senator must also be someone who believes that healthcare is a fundamental right to all Texans. Gun reform is an absolute necessity, that we must reform our unemployment system, and we must fight for a $15 minimum wage. And in addition, we must fight to protect voting rights, a woman's right to choose, and get to net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. But believing is not enough. Texas leaders need to know the issues that they're facing. To overcome those obstacles, you must have a person that will work with Joe Biden and make certain that he's elected president of the United States. You must have someone that will work with Joe Biden to make certain that they help clean up the mess that's being left behind by Donald Trump and John Cornyn. We will face challenges as we rise up together to force economic and social change in this country. But make no mistake about it, having a leader that has experience, the ability to pull together members in the Democratic Party, has demonstrated that is exactly what we need. I will guarantee you that the day after the runoff election, that Royce West will be going to 254 states, hopefully with Beto O'Rourke by his side, to make certain that we pull together that coalition that's necessary in order to win in 2020. I have no doubt that we're in historic times. And the question is whether we will be a victim of history or whether we will make certain that all Texans have a better future as a result of us winning in 2020. I ask for your support. God bless each and every one of you. God bless the state of Texas.
And we're back. We all have a palpable sense that we're living history in this moment. I find comfort in hearing from those with the longer view of lived history, who have pushed back and pushed through and broken through the established power structures and have demanded that they and the previously underrepresented people they fight for be seen, respected, and served by their government. Who better to hear from than State Representative Senfronia Thompson, Ms. T, the longest serving African American and woman in Texas history.
Hey everybody, State Representative Ina Minjares of San Antonio. We're gonna win Texas this year. We're gonna turn it blue. But us Democrats, we've got to work together as a team. So come on, join our team. Text votes to 21333. Let's get to work and win Texas.
Donald Trump can't win the White House without Texas, and that means we have to fight like the future of our state and our country depends on it, because it does. Our party and the Democratic movement we have built is powered by the hundreds of thousands of Texas Democrats who graciously contribute to our efforts. Over the years, thanks to individual donations of $3, $7, and $10, we have built a Democratic infrastructure capable of turning Texas blue up and down the ballot. The support we've received from donors is incredible. These grassroots contributions are the driving force behind our work and our victories. Now we're headed into the most important election of our lifetimes, and we can't take our foot off the gas. We will never stop working to create opportunities for hardworking Texans. We're fighting for strong neighborhood schools, higher incomes for working families, quality health care, and an economy that works for everyone. By contributing just $7, you will propel our movement forward and bring us that much closer to flipping Texas. Together, we can win this election. Together, we can change the course of history.
About to turn Texas blue this year, but we can't do it without you. Your commitment is strong, so let's march on together. Sign up and give what you can. Your voice, your time, your support. Text VOTES to 21333 and let's get started. Enjoy the convention.
Taken together, those rights and privileges, those duties and responsibilities, that energy that comes from the patient-physician relationship, taken together, it defines us. It is who we are.
Digital advertising is changing fast. DS Political can help you find, match, and surround your target audience online and win. Find out more at dspolitical.com.
Coming up next, we'll be hearing from Texas Representative Senfronia Thompson. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Senfronia Thompson, State Representative from Harris County. I've had the privilege of serving in the Texas legislature for now 47 years, and it's been such a privilege. I want to talk to you today about what we can do to improve our state of voting. But before I do that, I want to let you know how proud I am to be able to enjoy the 100th anniversary of the women's right to vote and let me also take a moment and say thanks to so many of my friends out there who over these 47 years have supported me, have loved me, and worked with me, all without judgment or entitlement. Thank you. You know, there are two big things that are facing us, and we're both shocked by both of them. First is the pandemic. It surprised all of us. The pandemic is here, and we have our loved ones who are dying, our friends who are getting sick. There's no vaccination, there's no cure, there's nothing out there. And all we know is we have a president talking about shining a light of the ultraviolet light throughout the body, of using disinfectant in the body. Now, you know, you and I know that that's not going to work. And secondly, we have, from the pandemic, we moved to this very tragic situation, and that is the situation of George Floyd. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you how painful it is to think about a person and look at them on television begging for their lives. I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. And the police officer refusing to take his knee off of his neck. He's already handcuffed, he's on the ground, he can't move, and he won't let him up until he's dead. What a tragedy. That's not the democratic process. But here's something that you and I can do. We can make some changes in this country, and we can make sure that the arc of justice is bent to the extent that people who act, officers who act with that kind of conduct, are held accountable. And that is the American way. But I want to talk about some of the things that we got to do in 2020. We got to move this country from crazy to sanity. Here's what I'm talking about. You and I got to make sure that within this state and within this country, health care is not treated as a privilege but a right. Every person should have a right to health care. Everyone. And then we go to gun control. We've had our experience with gun controls, and people are all up in the air. Oh, I don't want you taking my Second Amendment right. We don't want to take your Second Amendment right. We want to use some common sense gun control measures. Let me just point out a couple of things and remind you. Do you remember the situation in El Paso where a man traveled all across the state of Texas because he wanted to go and kill some Hispanics, and he killed a bunch of them? And then we go close to where my hometown is, Santa Fe, Texas. We have a child there, a student in a school. He kills a bunch of his classmates. Those children will never be able to finish high school. Their parents will never be able to see their grandchildren because they're dead. You and I can do something about gun control, and we can do it sensibly in a way that we do not infringe upon the Second Amendment right. And I want to thank, just like you do, those who are laboring on the front line. Those persons who check us out at the grocery stores, cut our meat, clean our buildings, keep it sanitized, pick up our trash. Those people who have been crying for an increase in minimum wage, I want to remind you that when this is all over with, these are the people that we need to make sure that they get a minimum wage increase and that they get health care coverage as well. But here's our job as Democrats. We got to make sure that we turn out every vote in this state of Texas. We got to make sure that the vote is so strongly turned out within the state of Texas until it looks like a deep blue tsunami wave that has hit the United States of America. And we need to elect Joe Biden the next president of the United States of America, and Democrats from the courthouse all the way up to the White House. You can do it with our help.
Coming soon, we'll be hearing from former U.S. Representative Beto O'Rourke. Stay tuned. Coming up next, we have our party officers report. Stay tuned.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. My name is Montserrat Garibay, and I'm the Secretary-Treasurer of the Texas AFL-CIO. As chair of the Nominations of Party Officials Committee, I move adoption of the committee's report. The 11 members of the Democratic National Committee representing the Texas Democratic Party have been posted on the convention website entitled Nominees and Winners of the Democratic National Committee. Delegates were instructed to vote on recommendations for 2 at-large members and 9 representatives of caucuses. The committee followed those recommendations to the highest extent possible, while meeting the requirement in the national rules to balance the delegation based on gender. The website reflects our final 11 recommendations, and adoption of our report following the vote of the delegates shall be posted on the website today. Thank you.
Thank you to our nominations Chair Montserrat Garibay, our dear friend and colleague. You know, we could say she represents the future of the labor movement, but the reality is we've seen her leadership and energy right now today for working Texans. Mons has been a champion. Thank you for your service to our party and to all Texans. On behalf of Chair Hinojosa, I'd like to share the following business announcement. Delegates have heard motions from the Committees of Rules, Resolutions, Platform, nominations for national delegates, and nominations for party officials. They were sent a ballot on Wednesday, and voting ended last night at 10 p.m. Each report has passed by a vote of at least 86%. Most rules and resolutions have passed by a vote of at least 90%. Therefore, he declares all committee reports finally adopted by the 2020 Texas Democratic Convention, and all of our required business is complete. As results are available online at our convention website, texasdemocraticconvention.com, under the Convention and Delegate Information tab. You know, although we were thrown a massive curveball with COVID-19 in an online format instead of an in-person convention, because of the business being held online, we have now been able to do electronic voting, and a full and transparent record of every vote cast for the first time in party history is up on this website. A big congratulations to the convention work group, to our State Democratic Executive Committee, and in particular, Libby Willis, our rules chair, who helped usher us through this process and develop this work. All right, Cliff, so what's coming up next? I hear we got some rock stars, right?
We do have some rock stars that are going to speak in just a moment, but I do want to acknowledge another rock star. That's right, our dear friend George Takei. If you would have told me, Manny, that when we started this election cycle that we would have Sulu and the Federation on our side, I would not have believed you. But he just tweeted a moment ago that we're on pace to actually possibly hit a goal of $1 million.
Amazing.
Raised during this convention. So if you have not already, I would ask you to go to 38for38.com, contribute $38 if you can, so we can deliver 38 electoral votes against Donald Trump and for Joe Biden. But speaking of rock stars, rock star indeed, it's our favorite punk rock Politico, who needs no introduction. His passionate hopefulness and his fiery eloquence carried him across all 254 counties of our state, and gave Texas Republicans the biggest wallop and the fattest lip that they've received in 25 years. And the groundwork that he laid set the stage for another slate of statewide candidates to finish the job and save our state. That's one Congressman Beto O'Rourke. Finally, Congresswoman Bernice Johnson, crucial voice that we need right now. A nurse before entering public life, she ran and won in a landslide in the State House seat in 1972. The first black woman elected to any public office in Dallas. And she was also the first woman and African-American elected to the state Senate from Dallas in 1986. She served in Congress with honor since, and I will quote none other than President Barack Obama in his endorsement of her efforts. Congresswoman Johnson is someone who gets up every day and works hard to improve the lives of her constituents. That's her priority. She has the right vision of what America ought to be, and she's putting us on the right path to move forward. I can't think of a better person to listen to at this moment than the Congresswoman. Thank you.
Coming up next, we'll be hearing from U.S. Representative Bernice Johnson. Stay tuned.
Hello, Democrats of Texas. I'm Bernice Johnson. I served in Congress
representing the 30th District of Texas. I'm the Dean of the Texas delegation. I'm very proud of that. Today, though, we're just connected virtually, but our grit, determination, and compassion as Democrats are represented and demonstrated stronger than ever. We have reason to be stronger than ever before. Our country is in the midst of a public health, economic, and moral crisis. It is during these times that we look toward political leaders in Washington, in Austin, and in every local community for guidance, which is why we need people with democratic values in all of these positions. As we speak, hundreds of thousands of peaceful demonstrators are descending upon major cities across the country, but not just major cities anymore, and not just across our country, but around the world, preaching justice, justice for George Floyd, justice for Breonna Taylor, and many other Black Americans that have been victims of senseless killings at the hands of law enforcement. I support law enforcement, but we've seen too much not to say something about it. Etched in the souls of our nation is an unbearable pain. We recognized that systematic racism in the criminal justice system that has resulted in a pattern of these incidences, and the fear, hurt, and outrage is engraved in the hearts of Black Americans. I know I speak for the people of Texas when I say that our hearts, our thoughts, and our prayers are with the families and loved ones who've had their lives completely changed with many of these incidences. I'm always asked, what can we do to make a change? Well, I'm living very currently. And right now, my response is this. First, we need to be counted, so don't ignore the census. But secondly, and most importantly, we must vote. That is the single most important power that we have. In just over 150 days, our nation will have the opportunity to go to the polls and send a message redefining the true American values that have been lost during this administration. Every single seat on the ballot, from Congress to local school boards, is equally as important. We must therefore ensure that candidates across the state who are running as Democrats with democratic values have the resources and the necessary votes to win. The Texas Democratic Party has done a fantastic job in preparing for the upcoming election. That includes recruiting hundreds of activists and young people, which I'm very happy to see. A number of new minorities. We need them all. It's important to include them all because it is this demographic that is a new voice for a bright future for Texas. But our job is not over. The people we've recruited, we must make sure got the right information. The people that we recruited, give them a job to do so they can be heard and so they can be active and make sure that they get more like them to vote. To continue our fight for the soul of this nation, we must take our energy, compassion, and determination to all so that we can elect Joe Biden for the next president of the United States, and not just elect him, but make sure he carries Texas for that election
That's what I'm very concerned about. I'd like to take this time to thank Vice President Biden, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and my House Democratic colleagues. I think of Lloyd Doggett, Sheila Jackson Lee, Al Green, Joaquin Castro, Julián Vela. I just have to pause because I'm looking for. Where's Cuellar? Oh, there. Henry Cuellar. And you know, we've got 4 new people. But just before that, though, we do have Benson Gonzalez. But we are really proud of the fact that we have Lizzie Fletcher, we have Colin Allred, we have Veronica Escobar, and we have Sylvia Garcia, and we want to make sure that we double that new 4. I can tell you it was a great feeling to have these new colleagues join us, and I can tell you it was a great feeling too to see the benefit of having Beto on that ballot the last time. So we cannot discount him. As a matter of fact, he's been my chief person that I've called upon to help us get this state organized the way he organized it so we can get our candidates elected. Now, it is our time in Texas. This is the place that can make the biggest difference, and we cannot do it without everyone being involved. And it's not just for us. It's not just for our glory. It is for our nation. It is for the world. We've got to change what we look like to the world. We have the capability, and we want you to start at the top with Joe Biden and go all the way down that bound ballot and elect Democrats. You'll see a difference, I guarantee you. When we elect people that have our values, we will see a difference in our nation.
Coming up next, we'll be hearing from former U.S. Representative Beto O'Rourke. Stay tuned.
Greetings to my fellow Texas Democrats, and I hope that you are as well as you can possibly be, given what is happening in this country, and in our state, and in our lives right now. If you are like me, you are filled with a profound sadness and anger at these latest examples of the injustice of our country. Black men and black women murdered by the very people who were sworn to serve and to protect them. A country that, despite its promises and principles, still sees and treats some of our fellow Americans as less human than others. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and here in Texas, Sandra Bland, Tatiana Jefferson, and Botham Jean. These are just some of the men and women who have paid the ultimate price for the failures of our country. If you're in El Paso, you're also mourning the passing of Memo Garcia. He's the 23rd person to lose his life due to the mass terror attack at the Walmart in El Paso last August. He fought for the last 9 months to stay alive, but he was fighting against the high-impact, high-velocity round shot by a weapon of war shot by a mass murderer who hunted Memo down solely based on the color of his skin. A mass murderer who hunted him down because he was inspired and compelled to do so by Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, who openly traffics in racism and has sent an unambiguous signal to white mass murderer terrorists like the person who killed those people at the Walmart, that the enemy is the other, and the other is anyone who does not look like the majority in this country. It is enough anger and sadness to tempt us to despair. But should we succumb to that temptation, we run the risk of losing the last best hope, not only for our families and ourselves and our country, but for this world. Because American life is defined by injustice for so many, but it can also demonstrate the capacity for service and sacrifice that is unrivaled by any other country on the planet. So though we enslaved our fellow human beings more than 400 years ago, and on their backs built the wealth of this country that neither they nor their descendants would ever fully enjoy, we are also the same country that sacrificed hundreds of thousands of men and women in the fight to end the Confederacy and end the institution of slavery successfully. We're also the country in the 20th century that produced civil rights leaders that inspire civil rights leaders the world over. Civil rights leaders in America who are willing to risk their lives and in so many cases gave their lives for the full civil rights of every American, of every generation that follows, producing the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. And we are also the country which 76 years ago, this day, D-Day, June 6, 1944, sent 73,000 people, fellow Americans, to the beaches of Normandy to fight against the most brutal white supremacist regime this world has ever known, the Third Reich under Adolf Hitler. And more than 2,500 of our fellow Americans lost their lives on those beaches on this very day, 76 years ago. So yes, we are capable of the injustice and brutality that we are seeing in this country and is being led by this administration right now. But we are also capable of extraordinary service and sacrifice. And it is our choice to make, our decision to make. And this decision will define us forever. That is why, in addition to protesting and grieving, we must organize, we must register, and we must vote. And we must do that in record numbers right here in Texas, my fellow Democrats. Because we have the power to change this country. We demonstrated that in 2018 when we elected 2 new members of Congress, 12 new members to the state legislature, and 17 African American women to judicial positions in Harris County, literally changing the face of criminal justice in the largest county in the state of Texas. We have the power this year to win a majority in the state house, to end decades of racial gerrymandering, to move forward on issues like voting rights and access to health care, climate change, and racial justice here in the state of Texas. And thanks to Celia Israel and the HDCC and all you amazing precinct chairs out there, we are going to do that this year. We have the power to elect Democratic majorities in our county courthouses and city councils, the most fundamental level of government and justice in the United States. You look at Lena Hidalgo in Harris County, Clay Jenkins in Dallas right now. They show the example of what Democrats can do when they're in positions of leadership and public trust. We can stop John Cornyn, Trump's greatest enabler in the Senate, and elect someone there that we can be proud of. And this, we can award our 38 electoral college votes to Joe Biden. First time since 1976 that a Democrat will win this state, and it is up to us to do it. And my fellow Democrats, I know we can. And I know it's the most important thing that we can be focused on right now, because if this election is close, even if Joe Biden lawfully wins it, Donald Trump, who has shown no regard for the law, and everything in his body, in his mind, will focus on maintaining and increasing his purchase on power, he will exploit that margin to steal this election. The answer to that threat is Texas. It will be absolutely seismic. It will stop Donald Trump in his tracks forever, and it will change what is politically possible in America. This is the work that we should be focused on right now. It is also the antidote to despair and the key to victory. I am so grateful to be in this fight with you. God bless you, God bless Texas, and God bless the United States of America.
As the 10th largest economy on earth, Texas has no choice but to lead. The question is, to where? That's where we come in. Democrats, it's time to take the lead. I'm Nathan Johnson, proudly serving Texas Senate District 16.
Hi, I'm Vicki Goodwin. I'm State Representative for House District 47 in Western Travis County. I flipped this seat in 2018 and plan to hold it in 2020 because we need to improve access to health care, ensure continued investment in public education, and I'll be your voice on redistricting.
Looking for educational options other than college? Did you know there's currently a huge shortage of skilled tradespeople for in-demand jobs? The UA offers a unique Earn While You Learn apprenticeship program that trains you in those skills and allows you to pick from many different types of trades. Our program provides a salary and benefits while you learn from the best skilled labor workers in the industry. You can even earn college credits during your training. Labor built this country. Use it to build your career. Earn and learn with the United Association.
Coming soon, we'll be hearing from former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Julián Castro. Stay tuned.
TXU Energy Free Pass is back. Your 7 highest use days every month are free automatically. And now you get 2 extra free days every month all summer long. Free Pass, only from TXU Energy.
Since 1920, Texas Realtors has supported public policy that builds communities, supports fair housing and a strong public education system, and puts people to work. Texas Realtors, a century of shaping Texas.
Hi, it's Terry Mesa coming to you from House District 105 in Irving and Grand Prairie. We can win big in Texas this year, but we need you to turn Texas blue. Sign up and join our movement and give what you can. Your time, your voice, and your support. Text VOTES to 21333 to get started. Enjoy your convention.
As Democrats, what are we fighting for? For the workers, for the dreamers and asylum seekers, for the mothers, fathers, sons, and daughters, for those with disabilities, for seniors, for health care, for the planet, for our bodies, for equality, for love, for education, for safer schools, neighborhoods, and communities, for a secure retirement, for opportunity, for a fair wage, for veterans and Gold Star families, for the forgotten, for our values, for truth, for progress, for our democracy, for our country, for our future. We are the party of the people. We are Democrats.
Welcome back. Up next, we're going to welcome the former mayor of the great city of San Antonio, the former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under President Barack Obama, Secretary Julián Castro. He has made us so proud, fighting for progressive change, putting people first in his campaign, inspiring millions, and blazing the trail for so many young Latinx leaders and people of color. We will also hear a special address from the one and only Congresswoman Jackson Lee, who is leading the effort in Congress to bring about reform, and here at home in Houston, she's bringing people together to heal.
Finally, stay tuned for a proud South Texas Democrat and strong supporter of the Texas Democratic Party, Congressman Philemon Vela, who understands the gravity of this moment that we're in. The congressman knows that we need a president who is prepared to be a leader in the face of injustice, so that's why he'll be introducing our next president, Joe Biden.
Good afternoon, Texas Democrats, and to everybody watching today. I want to just begin by thanking Chairman Hinojosa and all of the wonderful Democrats who have helped put this convention together. Now, I know it's been said many times, but of course, this might be the most unusual and unprecedented Texas Democratic Party convention ever. I'm from San Antonio, and we had looked forward to welcoming you to San Antonio this year. I hope that you'll make it down there as soon as you can. I'm glad to be here today, though, and you know, a couple of days ago, I shared with the Texas Young Democrats a quick story that I'd like to share with you. My brother Joaquin and I grew up in an active household. My mother, Rosie, was a Chicana activist, involved in the Young Democrats, and later tried to get on the San Antonio City Council when she was 23 years old. She didn't win, but she used to drag us to meetings and speeches and rallies, make us hand out literature at polling sites on Election Day. And I can recall almost 30 years ago, in the spring of 1991, going with my mom to the election night event for a candidate named Maria Antonieta Berezabal, who was trying to become, at that time, only the second woman and the first Latina elected as mayor of San Antonio. That night, we went to the event, and as we were walking out, my mother, my brother, and I, Joaquin and I were about 16 then, we passed a woman at a bus stop on Commerce Street in downtown San Antonio. And the woman had her 2 young children with her. She was a young mom. She must have seen, as we passed by, the shirts that we had on that said Maria for mayor. As we passed, she looked at us and she asked us, "Did we win?" I'll never forget the way that she asked that question, the sound of her voice, or the way that she looked at us. Because I could tell that what she was asking was not, did you and your candidate win? She was asking, did me and my boys win? Did we all win? I remember that moment because that's what I've always thought that politics and policy should be about. How we can all win. I see her face reflected in the faces of each and every one of those folks who are out there marching and protesting so that this nation can ensure we live up to our highest ideals and eliminate the scourge of racism and bigotry from our country. And I hear her voice in their cries that there is a way for us to win. I see her face in the faces of meat plant workers and farm workers, of grocery store workers and fast food workers who, during the time of this COVID-19 pandemic, have been asked to do the most and often, and for generations, have been invested in the least, working long hours, oftentimes in bad conditions, but especially during this time, sacrificing so that all of us can live our own lives and stay safe and healthy. When we ask that question, how can we all win? It's not a mystery to Democrats. We know how we can make that possible. It begins by ensuring that we push our country to live up to its highest ideals. That we do that not only with our words, but also through our deeds, through taking concrete steps to eliminate discrimination in housing, in healthcare, in the workplace, and in policing in our country. That we embrace fundamental reforms to our policing system so that what happened to George Floyd never happens again. It also means that we fix our economy for all of those workers that we have been depending on, who have been coming through for us, so many of whom don't make much more than the minimum wage, who live in substandard housing, some of whom are homeless, who have been sacrificing so much for the entire nation. We can fix our economy and invest in health care for every person in America. We can fix our economy and invest in safe, decent, affordable housing. We can fix our economy and make sure that everybody has the skills that they need to thrive in this 21st century. During my campaign, we highlighted the most vulnerable Americans. We visited with homeless individuals who are living in a storm drainage tunnel that runs underneath the Las Vegas Strip. We talked to young people who were in the foster care system and told us about the changes we need to make to ensure that more foster care kids have a chance to graduate from high school, go on to college, to reach their dreams. We talked to migrants who are dreaming of a better life, and dreamers who are watching as our Supreme Court decides their fate. And what we gathered from that is that if we can make our country work for the most vulnerable Americans, if we can unrig our economy so that it benefits every single person and not only a select few, then we can live up to the promise of America. And there's no better place to start than the state of Texas. Texas has always been a land of opportunity. Today, it represents America's tomorrow. It's young, it's diverse, it's growing. And we have an opportunity this November to send a strong message, not only about the future of Texas, but about the future of this country, by ensuring that we take back the State House, flip those 9 seats that we have to flip, that we welcome a new Democratic United States Senator as we defeat John Cornyn, and that we deliver the 38 electoral votes of Texas to the next President of the United States, Joe Biden. I want to ask each and every one of you to do everything that you can. Make phone calls, send those emails, talk to your family, talk to your neighbors. Become a voter registrar. I'm told that in the voter registrar training as part of this convention, a little while ago, there were 3,400 participants, which is wonderful. There's an energy there. There's a belief among Texas Democrats that we can do it this time. And we can, with your help. I hope that if you're able to make a contribution, you'll do that. But most importantly, that you'll get out and vote and have your family and your friends vote to make sure that every single Texan can get good health care, that every child sitting in a classroom gets a good education, that every Texan has a job that will support them and their family, and that we do our part to make this wonderful nation even stronger. Thank you.
Up next, we'll be hearing from U.S. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. Stay tuned.
Hello, Texas Democrats. I am glad to be with the greatest Democrats in the world. Victorious Democrats. Many of you saw at the beginning I had a mask. Why? Because I believe that in order to beat COVID-19, Democrats have got to lead, wearing a mask, washing our hands, social distancing, because an administration failed by not having enough test kits, PPEs, greatest loss of life, now 110,000 plus, many of them from minority communities, over 1 million cases. But we have to stand together to be united, and we've got to change this administration and move into the future in 2020 and elect the next president of the United States, Vice President Joe Biden, a man with compassion and understanding and leadership. That's why we're here today, to believe that we in Texas can turn Texas blue. I believe that we can do the energized and emerging voters here in Texas. These are the voters that we must go out and reach, send them our love and the understanding that their lives can be made better by caring elected officials, public officials, Democrats who are standing in the gap, because they care about each and every one of you. There's a storm a-raging. That raging storm comes at each and every one of us. But I tell you, I see a bright light. And that bright light are Democrats standing and running and claiming victory in November 2020. Democrats, we must not only stand on belief, we must stand on action. We must motivate and organize and agitate. We must recognize that the victory of this state, going blue, is within our reach. We must understand that the vice president, to be president of the United States, will need just that one state, the state of Texas, and it will turn this nation upside down. I'm reminded of where we are and what our young people need, what our families need, what our seniors need. They need a caring government. They need a government like Ann Richards says, that she doesn't in any way have difficulty in shaking up the system. And she says that one system that needs shaking up is the government. And our government needs shaking up. Can you imagine trying to get gun safety reform, gun reform, Republicans blocking it? Can you imagine trying to protect our Social Security and Medicare, Republicans blocking it? Can you even imagine that in the time of COVID-19, in the midst of this pandemic, when we were voting to get more testing and hospital care, voting to provide PPPs for small businesses, be able to provide for this nation so there's a bridge that we can succeed, expanding unemployment, giving an extra $600, all ideas of Democrats, Republicans blocking it, blocking the HEROES Act, where we're providing for hazardous pay, blocking the HEROES Act, where we're recognizing essential workers, blocking the HEROES Act, we're providing for $75 billion for testing. Democrats, I agree with Ann Richards. We need to shake up this government. But again, I said, there's a storm raging. And the question is, are the Democrats going to get through the storm and see the bright light? Are you going to be able to stand up and then begin running and claim that victory? I know that many of you remember and loved Barbara Jordan, my predecessor, my mentor, my friend. And as she lived a very strong life embedded in the constitutional values, she reminded us that someone came up to her one day and said, "What do you people want?" And she said, "What the people want is the same thing that you want. They want an America as good as its promise." Chairman Hinojosa, Vice Chair Braley, Mr. Hollins, the Chair of the Finance, and as well, Harris County Clerk, and all of the delegates that are here, don't we want an America as bright as her promise? Aren't we ready to go through that raging storm and see that bright light and begin to stand and run and claim victory? I'm so glad to be here with my friends Beto O'Rourke, and of course, Secretary Castro, and yes, Congressman Vela, who will be presenting our Vice President. But I'm really glad to be with the greatest Democrats in the nation. And so as we begin to move toward our victory, it really has to be based upon our beliefs and the actions of each and every one of us. We have to take away the shackles of doubt. We have to be able to heal this nation, heal the divide that many are trying to project in the state of Texas. Texans are loving people. They have great heroes that we have admired. And one of them, of course, is our dear friend Henry Cisneros, who pointedly said to us, we have to be honest, we have to be truthful, and speak to the one dirty secret in America, and that is racism. But it is also rejection of our immigrant community, documented and undocumented, our DACA students, rejection of people who simply want to be in our country and love this nation. I agree with Henry Cisneros. It's a dirty secret about racism, and Democrats have to show the world and the nation and our fellow Americans that it has no place in this nation. We have to be able to fight to be unified by loving each other. And as President Lyndon Baines Johnson, the architect of the Great Society, said, that every single American must have an equal place at the table. He said we must receive an exact and even and equal justice regardless of race or color. That is what America is. That is what we're fighting for in order to turn Texas blue. And yes, you remember as President Johnson stood in the well of the House and said as he projected amazing civil rights legislation that we shall overcome. But now is the time. As Dr. King said, now is the time. And when we answer the question why we can't wait, we cannot wait because there are babies yet unborn. There are babies and people of many different colors who have come to this nation, who live in this nation, or in rural and urban Texas, and they are seeking Democrats to take them to a place where they will be respected and honored. And the school children of this state will be loved. They will be educated. And the school children of the nation will be loved. They will be educated. That is the Texas we want. And maybe you've heard these words, I believe the storms are raging, but I believe the rain will go away. I believe we can make it through the storm. That's the challenge I give to you this time, this moment in history. This is the challenge I give as we propel Joe Biden to the presidency of the United States. This is an America that we can all embrace. And as I close, as I march with you, as I protest the ugliness of the last couple of weeks and what we have seen in the loss of Ahmaud Arbery or Breonna Taylor lying in a bed with dreams of being an essential worker as a health professional and a nurse. Ahmaud wanted to be an electrician. What about the many other young boys and others who experienced this kind of unspeakable violence under color of law? And what about our beloved Houstonian, George Floyd, who I named police reform legislation HR 71 after just this past week, the Law Enforcement Trust and Enforcement Act. What about those lives? Democrats, if there's ever a serious moment for people with heart and compassion, that time is now. And as I come to you today, as I stand here before you, embracing those elders of Barbara Jordan and Henry Cisneros and Ann Richards and Lyndon Baines Johnson and many others, as we understand Black Lives Matter, then I am seeking a pathway where no matter who we are, we can walk into this bright and shining light after the raging storm, and we'll be still standing, and we'll be ready to run toward victory, and we will carry Democratic candidates across this state, and we will have registered everyone that we could register. We will have pushed people out to vote. We will have secured early ballots or mail ballots or at the polls, but we will be victorious because it is the right thing to do, to claim this nation again for those of us who cannot stand this divide. I, for one, will not stand for it. I, for one, will join Barbara Jordan and said, what do we want? We want what America's promise is. Are we going to claim it? Democrats, Texas Democrats, wherever you are, rise to your feet, because we will claim it, and it will be ours as we stand in that bright and shining sun, January 2021, at the inauguration of President Joe Biden. Will you come with me? Will you run with me? Will you claim that victory? If you will, what a bright day for America. God bless all of you, and God bless the United States of America. Democrats are rising.
Your organization has the energy and the passion to create massive change. You just need people to show up. Mobilize is the events management and volunteer recruitment platform that connects mission-driven organizations and their supporters.
What we need to do, Democrats, is believe that it is possible to win.
And we're just getting started.
Texas is the biggest battleground state in the country. Our Democratic Party is building a future that is focused in equality and prosperity.
Our mission is innovative, inclusive, and hopeful. We are creating a Texas that we can all believe and thrive in.
Some of the boldest Democrats to navigate the halls of Congress have called Texas home, and some of them have even made their mark on the White House.
Texas produces progressives, trailblazers, and steady-handed leaders alike who consistently push the needle on issue after issue.
Our leaders champion the noblest of causes because we believe that our country is stronger when we celebrate diversity, live our values, and inspire unity.
Texas Democrats have built a movement founded on landmark policies and programs that make America one of a kind.
We safeguard our planet and fight for equal rights. We deliver on building an economy that works for all Texans. We defend a woman's right to choose, and we challenge the inhumane policies that set to tear our country apart.
While Texas Democrats may differ in their approaches, each one of them has fought like hell to change the course of history and leave our state that much more equitable.
We are the party that paves the way for the future because we cannot advance as a society until everyone has a seat at the table. Donald Trump can't win the White House without Texas, and we've got a plan to defeat him.
We know that the strength and resilience of our movement means that we can overcome any challenge set before us.
We know that we will succeed because what we are fighting for is humane, it is just, and it is truthful.
Every day, little by little, our movement grows and our chants for justice ring louder.
We are shaping the political future of our state and ensuring that everyone has a fair shot at the American dream.
This is what it means to be a Texas Democrat. Because when we save Texas, we save our democracy.
And when we save our country, we save the world.
Who are we? We are the ones who step up for each other. I've got your back. You've got mine. Kindness, humility, empathy. It's not just talk. It's who we are. It's who we always have been. And no one can take that from us. The movement to bring it back, it started here. And here. And here. In school gymnasiums, community centers, the living room down the block. You'll be where? Okay, we'll be there. Who are we? We're the movement that will beat Donald Trump. Welcome. We're going to have to sweat for it. We're going to have to sacrifice and fight. We're going to have to lead. Everyone is going to have to lead with kindness, humility, empathy, and not just talk, but action. Action today, action tomorrow. Action until we win. And we will win if we do this together. It's who we are. It's who we always have been. Now let's show them.
Coming soon, we'll be hearing from the next President of the United States, Joe Biden. Stay tuned. Coming up next, we'll be hearing from U.S. Representative Philemon Vela. Stay tuned.
Hello, Texas Democrats. I know that these are difficult times. We are a nation in pain, experiencing darkness, hate, and division. What we are seeing right now is America without leadership. In the middle of a global health pandemic, communities across this nation are at a boiling point after decades of systemic suppression and racism. As Vice President Joe Biden said earlier this week in a powerful speech to this nation, we are crying out for leadership, leadership that can unite us, leadership that can bring us together, leadership that can recognize the pain and deep grief of communities that have had a knee on their neck for way too long. We need someone to lead us to unity and to healing. Donald Trump is not interested in either. He would rather fan the flames of hate and incite violence for political gain, and that is not who we are. I don't have to tell you how consequential this election is. The very character of our nation is on the ballot, and lives are literally on the line. Joe Biden has spent his whole life fighting for people who haven't gotten a fair shot, who've been discriminated against or treated as invisible, who struggle to pay the bills and make ends meet, who can't quite tell their kids that everything's going to be okay. Joe will never stop fighting for those families, no matter the color of their skin, their zip code, income, what God they pray to, or whom they love. And now he has vowed to make this an era of action to reverse systemic racism and oppression in our country. The next president will inherit a nation in crisis, but I know Joe Biden is up to the challenge. He can and will bring us together. He can unite us here in Texas and across the country. And that is why I am proud to introduce the next president of the United States, Joe Biden.
Thank you, Congressman Vela, for that introduction. Hello, Texas Democrats. In case you're wondering, I'm on my back porch in our made-up studio here, and it's hot as the devil. That's why I don't have a coat and tie on. And I wish we were all together this year under different circumstances, meeting rather than this way. Separated from one another by a deadly virus and more than 100,000 lives lost and millions out of work. And once again, the words, "I can't breathe," echoing in our ears as we watch the brutal, horrifying killing of George Floyd. It's time for all of us to take a hard look at the uncomfortable truth. It's time for us to face the deep, open wound of systemic racism in the nation. Nothing about this is going to be easy or comfortable, but if we simply allow this wound to scab over once more without treating the underlying injury, we'll never truly heal. As I said from the beginning, the very soul of this nation is at stake. That's why I'm running for president, and why I stand united with every single Democrat behind our mission to beat Donald Trump and restore real leadership to the White House. But we have to do a lot more than just beat Donald Trump. We have to keep the House of Representatives. We have to win over the United States Senate. We have to flip the Texas House. We have to lead and deliver meaningful change for people that are hurting all across this nation. Texas is an important battleground state for our campaign in 2020. I think we have a real chance to turn the state blue because of the work all of you have done. We're building a diverse coalition to win up and down the ballot in the fall. There's no question the Latino community is important to this state and to the country. You're a major reason for our economic growth. You're a major reason why Texas is now a swing state. Since day one of this administration, there's been a relentless attack on the Latino community. And we saw the results last August in El Paso, as El Paso was targeted by a hateful attack. Donald Trump's anti-Latino, anti-immigrant agenda has targeted Latinos with dire consequences, whether it's his attacks on health care, a meaningless wall, or children being ripped from the arms of their mothers. As early as this Monday, maybe the following Monday, the Supreme Court will issue its ruling on whether Trump's rescission of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, the DACA program is lawful. For nearly 10 years, DACA has given us more than 700,000 young immigrants who came to this country as children the chance to pursue their dreams and contribute to the country that they know is home. Now Trump wants to take this American dream away. Let me tell you something. As president, I will protect dreamers and their families, and on day one, I will introduce immigration reform, making sure we protect Obamacare, rebuild our economy, and ways to bring everybody along. It's important that we all turn out to vote, from Houston to El Paso and everywhere in between. We have to do everything we can to make sure Democrats on the ballot across Texas are successful in November, not just the top of the ticket. The stakes in this election have never been higher for our country. So we have to work harder than ever, harder than ever. We need to stand up as a nation, stand with the Black community, with all communities of color. Come together as one America to deliver justice for all Americans. You know, if we stand together, we'll win the battle for the soul of this nation. We need to do this. We can do this. We will do this with your help. God bless you all. Thank you. I wish I were with you, and I'm anxious to campaign in person. Thank you all so much, and God bless you. May God protect our troops.
Coming up next, we'll be hearing from Texas Democratic Party Vice Chair Dr. Carla Braley. Stay tuned.
Texas Democrats, thank you so much for joining us at our virtual Texas Democratic Convention. My name is Dr. Carla Braley, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Texas Democratic Convention. Over the course of our Texas Democratic Convention, we've shared our vision for the future with Democrats across the state. We've brought Texas Democrats together in order to change the course of history of our families, our communities, and our state. When you ask a Democrat why they've invested in our movement, and they vote to Democrats up and down the ticket, it often comes down to something as simple as caring. We care about Black Americans being murdered at the hands of police, about our neighbor who doesn't have access to health care, about our children's future being predetermined by inequitable educational system. Some might tell you that this emotion and the empathy that drives our work clouds our judgment, but I disagree. Emotion and passion are what propels us to do this work and invest in our leaders. It's why we fight for change, and why we'll never settle for anything short of meaningful progress. In the process of revamping our state party, we've built a winning infrastructure. We're hiring constantly new staffers, and we're recruiting and training some of the most talented political operatives in the country, thanks to the support we've received from Texas Democrats across the state. We have the capability and the momentum to change Texas' political future, and in return, save our entire country. Throughout this election cycle, we have laid the groundwork for Democratic victories. We've committed ourselves to creating an organizing platform that redefines what it means to organize in Texas. We built the data infrastructure that has already changed the way campaigns up and down the ballot conduct outreach. And as many of you know, we vowed to register more voters this election cycle than ever before in our party's history. Without Texas, Donald Trump can't win the White House. We need Texas. When we say that we're gearing up to change the course of history, we're not exaggerating. When Texas turns blue, it will be lights out for the Republicans for a generation. The support of Texas Democrats powers our movement, and it determines how far we're able to go. By coming together and gearing up for the November election together, we will take action to deconstruct the systemic inequalities that perpetuate the suffering of Black Americans. We will take action on climate change because we must create sustainable energy systems to leave our children and our grandchildren with a world free of climate chaos. We will address meaningful health care reform because no Texan should have to decide between paying for groceries or going to the doctor. We create a just, humane immigration system because this country was built by immigrants. And our diversity is what continues to make us stronger. We can create a better world, but first, we must do everything we can to elect leaders who embrace kindness, humility, inclusion, and empathy. The Texas Democratic Party has never shied away from big, bold ideas. And in this most important election of our lifetimes, we have to deliver on our prosperous vision for the future for all Americans. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for joining our Texas Democratic Convention. We're going to win this election, and when we do, we will create a more prosperous future for all Texans in every corner of our state. And you will now hear from our chairman of the Texas Democratic Party, Gilberto Hinojosa.
Coming up next, we'll be hearing from Texas Democratic Party Chair Gilberto Hinojosa. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Dr. Braley. Y gracias, Texas Democrats, for another successful Texas Democratic Convention. Over the last few days together, we have shared our vision of how we hope to make the world a better place. We've laid out our plans and all the work that lies before our party on the path towards November. We've set some lofty goals, and we've challenged ourselves to fight for something bigger than every single one of us. Texas Democrats will exhaust every ounce of energy, every waking moment, to further one monumental purpose: to allow Texas families the right to live strong, productive, and healthy lives. Our Texas Democratic Party is not about fighting for what's convenient or timely. It's about doing what's right for Texans, no matter what the cost. It's about the moral obligation that we have as human beings to help as many people as possible through whatever means, all the time. Republicans like Greg Abbott, Dan Patrick, and Donald Trump care little about working families or economic opportunity or the everyday hardships that they suffer. For them, it's never been about uplifting those less fortunate and helping those who have been left behind. When Democrats make it to the top, they reach down to pull up those less fortunate because they believe that everyone deserves a fair shot. When Republicans reach the top, they look down on the next person trying to get up and plant their boots squarely in their face. They keep Texas families down because they believe that in doing so, they get to keep more for themselves. For them, it's always been about greed, about exploiting hardworking Texans in order to help their wealthy allies and holding on to power. I've seen this party through moments that made me question whether or not we'd ever get out of the wilderness, whether we'd ever get a chance to rewrite the story and defy the odds. I can humbly but confidently tell you today we are well on our way to achieving something this year that many believed would take 25. We have laid the groundwork to accomplish something truly incredible in 2020. We will turn Texas blue. Why now? Because every time we've measured our capacity to meet a challenge, we're reminded that we're on the right side of history. We're doing this for Texas families, children, neighbors, immigrants from whom we came from, and all of you. We urgently need to win because our victory will mean that we can take action on the issues that Texas families face in our county courthouses, in our Texas Capitol, in the United States Congress, and in the White House. Every time our party gears up for a critical general election like the one we're facing this November, we climb another step on the ladder towards our goal of turning Texas blue, up and down the ballot. We energize communities and build lasting relationships with voters across the state. We check in on one another and deliver on our promises. We develop trust within our community because we know that when we leave this world, we need to leave it better than what it was when we came into it. I believe that when Democrats can gain control of Texas and stop a hateful, divisive leader from being able to return to the White House, we will make our world better. We will rise to the occasion and deliver a more prosperous future for everyone. When we win, and we will win, we will enact change that will be felt across the state for generations. We will foster economic development, invest in our public schools, and pass criminal justice reform to stop the criminalization of people of color. In short, we will give Texans the government that they deserve, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. This is what it means to be a Texas Democrat. You are all the reason I'm so proud to do this work, and why the Texas Democratic Party will work tirelessly to ensure that we have a just and caring government that serves Texas citizens with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for joining us this week. Y adelante.
Wow. My fellow Democrats, thank you for joining and participating in the first ever virtual Texas Democratic Convention. Thank you for letting us into your homes. While it was our plan to meet in person, and that wasn't possible, wherever Democrats are, that's where the Texas Democratic Party is. You are the Democratic Party, and it is the honor of our team to be able to serve and support you as we flip this state blue. This week, we have hit 3,400 volunteer deputy registrars trained, nearly 12,000 delegates, and 20,000 donors across the state and the country. And Manny, we just hit $700,000, which means that we have raised more in 1 week in online grassroots contributions than any state party in history.
It's once again, we see that our movement continues to grow, that people are energized, people understand that Texans are demanding change. You know, we've said it before, we have an amazing team that got put together at the Texas Democratic Party, and we're so proud of every single one of our folks. They're talented, they're energized, they're smart, they're innovative. They brought together and put together this convention. But as our chair said, the Texas Democratic Party is you. It's all of you coming together. It's everybody coming together to make this happen, because we understand that when we win, we change people's lives. We save people's lives. And that's what folks are investing in. They're not investing in an office in Austin, Texas or Washington, D.C. They're not investing in just a campaign account. They're investing in what's going to happen when we win, and that we can all come together to make this happen.
Can't say it any better. I will just note that we are on pace. We can hit $1 million raised this week, which takes my breath away to even say. So please continue to follow us on social. Please make sure to tune in tonight to the U.S. Senate debate. It'll be broadcast all throughout the state. And please continue to give. You can go to 38for38.com and give $38 to deliver 30 electoral votes to beat Donald Trump. Well, while I'm here, I also want to make sure to thank everyone who helped us make this event happen. Annie's List, thank you for empowering women to run for office across the state of Texas. Royce Brooks, thank you for your fiery speech today. One of many fiery speeches today that's got me all pumped up. Thank you to all of our supporters, Bumper Active, Comcast, Mobilize, PepsiCo, United Association, Lowy Law Firm, Texas Realtors, and Vistra Energy for your generous donations to our party and our shared vision for the future. We'd also like to thank Alloy, Anheuser-Busch, Atmos Energy, Charter Communications, Cleat, Hustle, Encore Energy, Rising Tide, Target Smart, the Texas AFL-CIO, the Texas American Federation of Teachers, the Texas Democratic Women, Texas Medical Association, the Texas State Teachers Association, the Texas Trial Lawyers Association, the UFCW, Local 1000, DS Political, NGP Van, Texas Craft Brewers Guild Craft PAC. And then finally, our elected officials. Members of Congress, Julián Castro, Henry Cuellar, Lloyd Doggett, Al Green, Sheila Jackson Lee, Mark Vesey, Philemon Vela, State Senators Nathan Johnson, Jose Rodriguez. State Representatives Alma Allen, Diego Bernal, Retta Bowers, John Busey, Alex Dominguez, Barbara Gervin Hawkins, Vicki Goodwin, Jessica Gonzalez, Ryan Guillen, Gina Hinojosa, Donna Howard, Celia Israel, Julie Johnson, Eddie Lucio III, Terry Mesa, Victoria Neave, Eddie Rodriguez, Ramon Romero Jr., John Rosenthal, James Tallarico, Sean Thierry, Chris Turner, Aaron Zwiener, and then Judge Jan Seufer. Together, we have made history several times over this week.
Folks, it has been an honor to join you for the Texas Democratic Convention. We are coming to the close on the general session, but the fun isn't quite over yet. Tonight, you can tune in to the Democratic U.S. Senate runoff debate brought to you by Nexstar Broadcasting. And up next, we are ecstatic to bring you some joy and music from legendary songwriter and singer Robert Earl Keen, followed by the one and only Little Joe y La Familia. Folks, we'll leave you with this. The leadership of the Texas Democratic Party, all of our team has been very clear. We are fighting for something that is bigger than ourselves. We have to look to the future. The next 5 months will be the hardest, longest days of our lives. But we know that what we are fighting for will improve the lives of millions of Texans, uplifting people and creating opportunity. We'll never stop the work. Save Texas, save our democracy, save our country, save the world.
Howdy everyone, my name is Robert Earl Keen, and I want to thank you for having me at the Texas Democratic Convention. Got a few songs for you. Hope you enjoy them. Stand down on Main Street across Mr. Blues in my faded leather jacket, my weathered brogan shoes. The chill north wind blowing, the spring was coming on, so I wondered to myself how long I had been gone. I strolled across old Main Street, walked down a flight of stairs, stepped into the hall and saw all my friends were there. The neon sign was flashing, welcome, come on in, it feels so good, feeling good again. My favorite band was playing an Otis Redding song. When they sang the chorus, everybody sang along. Dan and Margarita were swaying side by side. I heard they were divorcing, I guess I let it slide. And I wished I had some money with which to buy around. I wish cashed my paycheck before I came to town. But I reached in my pocket, found 3 20s and a 10. It feels so good, feeling good again. There was old man Perkins sitting on a stool, watching Butch and Jimmy John, talking loud, playing pool. The boys from Silver City were standing by the fire, singing like they thought they were the Tabernacle Choir. And I wanted you to see them all, I wish that you were there. I looked across the room and saw you standing on the stair. And when I caught your eye, I saw you bringing to a grin. It feels so good, feeling good again. I wanted you to see them all, I wish that you were there. I looked across the room and saw you standing on the stair. And when I caught your eye, I saw you bringing to a grin. It feels good, feeling good again. It feels good, feeling good again. All right, here's a little song I like to play. I think most everybody that has spent any time in Texas at all has experienced this particular highway. This is called Amarillo Highway. I'm a house straight in plain view, side bit nine new, and a fresh deck in New Deal. Yeah, some call me high hand, some call me low hand, and I'm holding what I am, the wheel. I'm panhandling, manhandling, rolling out, rolling dust, bowling daddy. I ain't got no blood veins, I just got them 4 lanes of hard Amarillo Highway. I don't wear no Stetson, but I'm willing to bet, son, I'm bigger Texan as you are. There's a girl in her bare feet asleep on a back seat. That trunk's full of Pearl beer and Lone Star. I'm panhandling, manhandling, bowling out, rolling dust, bowling daddy. I ain't got no blood veins, just got them 4 lanes of hard Amarillo Highway. For the golden spread under blue skies. Most of my hide behind some power glide and get some southern fried back in my hide. I'm panhandling, manhandling, bowling, high rolling dust, bowling daddy. I ain't got no blood veins, just got them 4 lanes of hard Amarillo Highway. And the closest I'll ever get to heaven is banging speed up old 87, that hard Amarillo Highway. All right. Thanks again. I'd like to say I really appreciate this opportunity to be part of the Texas Democratic Convention, because there's one little phrase that I feel like is sorely missing in our vocabulary these days, and it's like this. It goes like this: we the people. Good luck in November. We were standing on a mountaintop where the cactus flowers grow. I was wishing the world would stop when you said we better go. We took a rowboat across the Rio Grande. Captain Pablo was our guide. For $2 in a weathered hand, he rowed us to the other side. We were dreaming like it was not inside. We dreamed all afternoon. Asked the world away, we could celebrate a gringo honeymoon. We stepped out onto the golden sand. The sun was high and burning down. Rented donkeys from an old blind man. saddled up and rode to town. Tied her donkeys to an ironwood tree by the street where children play. We went in the first place we could see, serving cold beer in the shade. We were drinking like it was not inside. We drank all afternoon. I swear away, we could celebrate a gringo honeymoon. Met a cowboy who said that he was running from the DA. He left his home, his wife and family when he made his getaway. We followed him on down a street of dust to his one-room rundown shack. He blew a smoke ring, he smiled at us. I ain't never going back. We were flying like it was not inside. It was so that afternoon. I swear away, we could celebrate a gringo honeymoon. Said there's one last place that you should go. He took us to the town's best bar. He knew a crusty caballero who played an old gut string guitar. He sang like Marty Robbins could, played like no one I've known. For a while we knew that life was good. It was ours to take back home. We were singing like it was not inside. We sang all afternoon. I swear to wait, we could celebrate a gringo honeymoon. We were standing on a mountaintop where the cactus flowers grow. And I was wishing the world would stop when you said we better go. One, two, three, four. I ain't got time to shoot the breeze, got no time to blow. Excuse me, mister, if you please, I gotta go. Born one morning on the Day of the Dead in a bombed out bungalow. My mama kissed my cheek and said, I gotta go. I gotta go somewhere. I gotta go. Wasting time standing here. I gotta go. They put me in an orphanage west of Tupelo. I told them when I burnt that bridge, I gotta go. Stole a car, got a gun, robbed a hidey-ho. I left Memphis on a run. I gotta go. I gotta go somewhere. I gotta go. Wasting time standing here. I gotta go. 5-card stud, deuces wild, 3 kings in a row. I turn that diamond deuce and smile. I gotta go. They tracked me down, took my take. Brother, don't you know? I told them, boys, there's some mistake. I gotta go. I gotta go somewhere. I gotta go. Wasting time standing here. I gotta go. Cold steel up against my head. They turned the lights down low. In case you didn't hear, I said, I gotta go. These are your very last words, sir. Say 'em nice and slow. My last words on this planet were, I gotta go somewhere. I gotta go. Wasting time standing here. I gotta go. I gotta go somewhere. I gotta go. Wasting time standing here. I gotta go.
Hi, I'm Little Joe. I hope you enjoy the Texas Democratic Convention. Remember, Texas is the biggest battleground state. Have fun.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
For all the doctors and nurses, the first responders, we appreciate and we love you. Muchísimas gracias.
America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining no hay amor en tus ojos, me voy de tu vida. Porque soy como soy, sin razón me desprecias. Porque dices que vivo entre gente que no es de tu altura. No me dejas cantar en tu reja como otros te cantan. Me dejas gritar que te quiero, tú no das 1, 2, 3.
Se me acabó, no me puedo resistir. Si voy a seguir sufriendo, mejor quisiera morir. Yo voy vagando en el mundo sin saber a dónde ir. Los años que van pasando, yo me canso de esperar. A veces que estoy cantando, mejor quisiera llorar. ¿Para qué seguir sufriendo si nada puedo lograr? Las nubes que van pasando se paran a lloviznar. Parece que se sostienen cuando a mí me oyen cantar. A mí me oyen cantar, se paran a lloviznar. Parece que alegra mi alma con su agua que traen del mar.
Soar like an eagle. A proud eagle. United for eagle. The city surrounds him closely. The crowd seems to pass him by. His heart's still back home in Texas, beneath his beloved sky. And life treats him so unkindly. He wishes that he would die. His life has become so empty. It's now just a broken sigh. The one filled with pride and courage, but all has now subsided. He's now just a hollow storm cloud, adrift in an endless sky. Adrift in an endless sky, so lost to the world is he. A man who had been forgotten, alone with his misery. Alone with his misery, he dreams of his childhood days. Oh, God made his children equal, we're different.